I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed those fucking men.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.
Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend Mr. BDA, flying solo for the evening, and I hope everybody doing well out there for sure. Oh yes, there's a lot of going on right now in boxing. Some people think there's not that much going on, but I can assure you there's some shenanigans going on here. Yes indeed. Yes sirree. Guys, you know the drill. Before we get to the fun, let's get the business side of the way. If you want to continue the gravy train, if you want to support the show, you can do so by continuing to subscribe, spreading the BDA gospel, subscribing to Second Renaissance and BDA Live or secondary channel. You get a couple of shekels your way. You can certainly donate them via the super chat feature during the episodes. I can see we already got somebody who donated, or in the Patreon and BDA PayPal page. But like I said, the best thing is for you to continue supporting the show, spreading it, go to the forums, message boards, subreddits, whatever, and say, hey, you want a little entertainment? Just head on over to BDA Boxing, get your boxing needs covered. Shout out to Chad Collins, who just donated with the super chat. He says, what's up, my people? Hope all is well in YouTube land. Salute BDA and the king, that is King Bucho. Thank you, Chad Collins, for your contribution. Really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room right away. Jay Perez, Subash Kunwar, Gonzalo's in there as well. Gonzalo, you want a link? I sent it to you. I sent you the invite. So even if you're not going to speak right away, just jump in so that the group doesn't disappear. Because if there's nobody in the group, I got to start another one, and it's a pain in the ass to do while I'm talking. So just, Gonzalo, if you're listening, please click on the invite and just stay there and then talk when you're ready. Shout out to Lubac, Blues Boxing, Poker Face, The Fish, Jay Bilio, Black Lomachenko, Pink Panther, Rick Rocca, Victor Tarin, SSB 28, Christopher Funk, BDA Army, all right? Wesley Mitchell, Wexford DJ, High Roller, PSK, MMA Champ Commentary, and more, I'm sure. Guys, we got a lot of news to cover here. A lot of news, a lot of opinions from you people, because I want to listen to you, especially if I'm by myself today. Anybody who's in the Discord group and wants to jump in, give me a shout out. I'll let you in. Also, I'm going to be opening up a PayPal. No, not PayPal. What am I talking about? StreamYard. I'll tell you something. First of all, I got to tell you right now, I said this at the beginning of the last show, and I'm going to reiterate it here for everybody that didn't hear it. I am off the green tea for the moment. No more green tea from Mr. BDA. I've been drinking it for about 4 years now, and it's my go-to booster to wake up and be talkative. But, lately I've noticed, you know what, I've been drinking 2 or 3 of the motherfuckers, and sometimes I speak a little too fast, in part because the fucking panelists, that's right, that panelists, and I'm sorry for cursing, but it's the way I feel. All these panelists, they sort of interrupt. So I got to talk real quick to get my point across. And sometimes I don't realize I come across as like a fucking psycho. So I'm going to, no more green tea. I got my carbonated water here. That's right, I'm going hardcore. Carbonated water, low sodium pretzels. And if I really need it, I'll go for some diet-free, sugar-free, diet and sugar-free vanilla Coke. That's right, vanilla ice cream Coke. And then after I'm done with this, I'm gonna watch Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Sorry, I'm kidding. Listen, we're gonna get to the news. I see more people coming in. Shout out to everybody in there. Kunta Kumait, Uncle B apostrophe, T-Tone Toledo. Gonzalo, my savior. Gonzalo, you there?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you for being on, Gonzalo. You really, because, I don't want to get into the whole technical thing, but if nobody jumps on, and I don't have you, listen, there's a thing there in the Discord that says friend request. I think you got a friend request from our end. You got to click and accept it. That way I can send you an invite automatically. Otherwise, every time I have to create a group and then invite you to the group because you're not part of the friends list. So, yeah, just when you have the time, go ahead and do that, right?
Okay, Mr. BDA.
All right. Thank you, Gonzalo. How you doing, by the way?
I'm doing all right. Been working pretty hard.
Yeah, I
Over
saw
here in
you.
the Philippines, creating home.
I saw you were posting some pictures. You were digging in a hole or something with some machines. Well, what's the deal there? What's going on?
Oh yeah. Well, we started with a piece of land, and we had to take out some tree stumps, some coconut tree stumps. By the way, they're pretty big.
Can you imagine?
We had to get a backhoe because they were in line of the fence that we were building. So we had to take those out. We had to level the house. We had to drop many cubits upon cubits of topsoil. Mainly, it's when you want to refill a lot, you're gonna get mountain mix. But I had to go out of my way to try to find quality topsoil in order to plant trees and grass and just have it to where it's nice. So I had to find that. Now we're building the wall. Now we're doing the steel gates. And come to find out, my wife is pregnant. So I'm going through this episode in my life, at least here in the Philippines, where for a homebody type of dude that I'm being here, it couldn't be better. I mean, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but at least I think I'm finding a little bit of direction.
That's fantastic to hear, man. Listen, the world always needs, there's more and more need now for a guy that knows how to work with his hands. More and more subsequent generations, they don't know how to work with their hands. They're not handymen. They pay somebody else to do the job for them. And if something ever happens, and somebody can't come over, what are you gonna do? So it's good that you do those type of things. Those type of things that they always make the time pass. They always make the time fly by. So it's very fun, at least from my end, to do those type of things. It's distracting, to say the least.
So I got multiple projects going on. I'm also building 2 cages for the dogs because I got the companion for the Lobito dog that I have, the Belgian.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making some umbrellas type of deals where I'm going to be able to tie them on ropes and they could turn on the rope. So I'm going to have like a ring where it's free spinning and they could turn around and not get caught up tangled up on the pole. So I'm going to have that like with an umbrella. I'm making like a gazebo type of deal so they can have shade and protection against the rain because it rains a lot. And the 2 cages in the back and other things.
No kidding. That sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, I just have to not spread myself out too thin though, where I can budget because I'm running into that problem where I'm getting too excited and trying to achieve multiple things at one time, and I'm spreading myself just a little too thin. So I have to reel back on the amount of projects that I do at one time.
That's right. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. You want to be thick like those coconut trees, or like Mr. BDA, very thick. There's no problem down there, believe me.
Hey, Mr. BDA, I didn't know that, but this actually happens. people die from coconuts landing on their heads. It
Yes,
happens more often than people would think.
I think I did hear that somewhere. Now that you mention it, yeah. That people die because those things are heavy, man. I mean, they're hard.
They
not
fucking
heavy.
come down like missiles.
Exactly, yeah. By the way, I'm hearing some echo in the background there. I'm hearing myself. I don't know. Maybe you get the volume too high or something. Gonzalo, people have been asking me to speak about this, to bring it up. I don't know if you heard. You know who BFTV Boxing is?
I just saw the videos that some of the guys posted.
Right. Yeah, there's... Okay, so most people already know who this guy is. He's the LDBC guy. Buchos used some of his clips for the Let's Laugh at the LDBC series. And he's the guy that's always screaming, always yapping, I should say. I don't know what yapping means. I'm telling you, I'm making up words as I go along on these episodes. But yeah, he's the one that was doing all those. He's always screaming at people. He doesn't let anybody in. And if he does let them in, he just screams at them and then kicks them out immediately. So it's, he's a pretty distasteful looking person and acting looking person. I mean, it's not the type of person you can have a conversation with, especially when, again, I haven't really seen a lot of his videos, but from the little I saw, especially from Sean Newton, and it's not like Sean Newton's nitpicking. He's really playing all of his rants, and they make little sense. Anyway, not my cup of tea, this guy. Well, it turns out that he was he was fighting with somebody else as usual on one of his streams, and then the other dude, for some reason, puts his daughter on the line, on the webcam, so that this guy can see it, this BFTB guy. And all of a sudden, BFTB goes, "Oh, she looks hot. Like, bring her back," or something. Like, he was saying it like in ghetto style, like, "Man, she got it going on, baby." I don't know exactly what the slang is now, but and so people really took a dislike to that. Subsequently, it was revealed. I think it was by Mark from Unrivaled Boxing. I think I don't know if he found it or somebody gave it to him. I don't know. They found out his real name apparently, and apparently he's a sex offender. He's on the sex offender registry. So all I'm gonna say is this is the type of stuff you get there. I hate to say it, but it's the LDBC. It's for a lot of these people, this whole YouTube boxing discussion, it's not really about having fun. It's not about discussing boxing. It's not about learning. It's a hustle. And you can see where some of these guys come from. So this guy was always talking like he was a know-it-all. And he doesn't know a lot about boxing. And then he's got this huge fucking stain on his record that he's a sexual... He used to be in the military, by the way. Somebody found an article. They keep taking those things down. But I think Del Boy also made a video on that. I know Mr. Two Hands also made a video about it. So you can sort of find... If you go to the comment section, you can find stuff about the guy. But look, you put your face out there in YouTube land, and you keep rubbing people the wrong way and talking to underage girls in an appropriate manner, eventually somebody's gonna dig into your stuff, and this is what happens. So look, it's not boxing related. It's only boxing related insofar he's got a boxing channel or supposed boxing channel. That's my point of view on it. I mean, I didn't really care about the guy all that much. So just because this whole thing happened now, or this whole new sordid story has come to light, doesn't mean I care anymore about that guy. And no disrespect to him, but hey, it's not my cup of tea, especially now with all these allegations coming out. He's the Jeffrey Epstein of the YouTube boxing community. So, we don't really want to associate ourselves with him. I wonder who the Prince Andrew of the YouTube boxing community is. Would it be that bald guy? What's his name? I always get him confused. They're all bald, I think, all the LDBC people. Who's the one that's friends with him? That's one of his main supporters. It's not... Is it 78?
Bannon.
Who?
Fannin or 78.
Bannon. Yeah, Bannon.
Bannon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bannon Boxing or something like that. I think he's his main ally. Listen, anyway, guys, we're going to move on because we got a lot of things to get through here. Again, the phone lines, I didn't get to test them yet. Haven't had the time. I don't know what's going on. But what we're going to do is, for the moment, everybody, we're going to be putting a StreamYard link. There you go. I was looking for it. And I was trying to buy time by doing an accent. StreamYard, you want to talk to us? You want to give us your comments about some of the stuff we're going to be talking about? Jump into the StreamYard and I'll get to you. We'll get to you. Eventually, when we have the time or when the time is right. All right, fellas? So, Gonzalo, now that you're here, I wanted to throw a couple of stories your way. Some of the things that have been going on in the boxing world. Virgil Ortiz has come out and he says he wants the best. That's right, Jerry. The best. The best, Jerry. He doesn't want to fight, these veterans, up and comers, like most up and comers would. He wants to fight the best right away. And this is what he had to say in an article on Boxing Scene, by the Boxing Scene staff. It's not clear who talked to him, but he's trained by Robert Garcia, blah, blah, blah. He says, I feel like I'm ready after this fight. By the way, he's going to be fighting Samuel Vargas, who's a tough cookie. And he says, I feel like I'm ready after this fight because as of right now, I feel like I can give any welterweight champion a hard fight. He told this to Sky Sports. I don't necessarily have a hit list because I want to fight everyone. I really do. Top 5 or 6 welterweights. There's Danny Garcia. There's Ugas, who is definitely a great fighter that everybody tends to overlook. So Gonzalo, he's not just bringing up, Spence and Pacquiao and all that. He's bringing up guys like Ugas, who right now nobody wants to fight. What do you think about it? Do you think this is something that's realistic for him, that these fights could get made, or is he just talking about them? He wants them, but because he's with Golden Promotions, they might not work out.
Wow, when you mentioned Ugas, that's a very difficult style.
Well, he mentioned Ugas.
That's a gritty veteran. That's really strong. That wasn't able to bully Porter. I thought he won that fight, and he was able to overpower Figueroa, who's been pretty game in overpowering other foes that are literal like on the lower side, like at 140 pounds. Mm-hmm. But this guy at 47, he bullied Figueroa. I think his father expressed about a year ago that he'd be ready to fight like the Keith Thurmans of the world. And a year has passed, and he's been continuing to perfect his craft. And he really seems like a poised, well-balanced type of individual. He's kind of on the quiet side, so I don't think he would just speak to speak. I think he does mean what he says. But as far as taking like the Ugas of the world, that guy he's pretty cagey. It'd be a difficult fight, but I mean, he could win it. And if he doesn't necessarily get the knockout, I mean, who cares? Because he's been getting all knockouts. And if it's a 50-50 fight, I mean, who knows what could end up being the result? He could win or he can lose a close decision. I don't see him losing because he's got that way about him. He's powerful. He's young. But I don't think that nobody's really a threat outside of maybe Spence and, like you said, Ugas. But yeah, I think he's prepared.
Yeah, man, because hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds here.
We know like the Sean Porters of the world. Why did I say like if there's multiple guys?
Multiple what?
No, Sean Porter. He's a guy that throws a lot of punches, but he's never been a real like great boxer. He's got that football background where he rushes in sometimes with his head. And when he tried to fight Ugas from the outside, he was getting outboxed. He couldn't really box very well from the outside when he tried to change his style. So I think Ortiz, I mean, Porter's not a great boxer. He could go out there and really...
Sorry about that, what?
Like, give this guy the business.
Mm-hmm.
And, Errol Spence, he's probably one of the... I forgot to mention Crawford. Those are difficult fights. I would actually pick those guys against Virgil Ortiz right now. You have to kind of go up in steps. I would be ready for like a Keith Thurman if I was him.
Keith Thurman, yeah. Now speaking of Keith Thurman, well, actually, we're gonna get to Keith Thurman, but for the moment, I want to stick a little bit to Virgil Ortiz. He seems to really want it, Gonzalo. This is a guy that, and why not, man? I mean, you look at his record, man. I'm gonna pull it up here, but it's not just the record; it's the performances. I mean, the fact that he took out Orozco, and Jose Ramirez couldn't do it. I mean, he dropped him a whole bunch of times to the body, but he couldn't put him out there. Virgil Ortiz goes in there and he stops him. He's the first guy to stop Mauricio Herrera. And again, Herrera, at this point, a little bit past it, but nevertheless, quite a dangerous foe. He's got 15 wins, 15 knockouts. Now, again, I know just being a puncher is not the most important thing in the world, but it does show you 15-0, and with 15 knockouts, he does punch harder than the average up-and-comer. And the fact that he takes him out early, And not just because, oh, boom, one shot and they're out like Deontay Wilder. I mean, he actually breaks him down to the body upstairs to the point where these guys, they don't want to take anymore. He reminds me more than anything, Gonzalo, as of Gennady Golovkin. The way Gennady Golovkin would break guys down, within 4 or 5 rounds.
That's my thinking too. Almost like the exact same dimension.
Mm-hmm.
He could grow up to be and compete and be a title holder at champion 160. So right now at 147, yeah, he's really strong and he's got the power. The only knock that I would have to say with the knockouts that he does have, the guys that he's knocked out haven't been real true welterweights. I mean, Orozco was a 140-pounder. So was the other guy that had never been knocked out, Mauricio Herrera. And all these other opponents are not really like heralded. Brad Solomon was okay, but he hasn't really knocked out a true 147-pounder.
It's a very good point. That's a very good point. Now, Vargas, obviously, going into the fight with Ortiz, he's the underdog. But make no mistake about it. This guy, who was born in Colombia, by the way, now lives in Canada. And he's fought a couple of times in Montreal, by the way. But he's a tough cookie. I mean, he lost to Spence, but I mean, who wouldn't? He lost a razor-thin decision to Luis Colazo. He gave Amir Khan hell, dropped him in that fight, and it didn't get taken out like some people expected him to. And he got taken out by Danny Garcia, but he's one of these guys that's become better as time has gone along. Maybe he's gotten his diet right, his training right. He's a full-time fighter maybe now, or maybe he's on a groove, whatever. But he's better than he was 4 years ago. And so for Virgil Ortiz to go in there and take him lightly, hopefully he doesn't do that because this Vargas is a tough cookie. It's unlikely that he can beat Ortiz, but you never know. This is boxing after all. Let me just read real quick what people are saying in the chat room. Jonathan Morrison says Thurman hits the hardest. Thurman wants, and Brian Harkin says Thurman wants everyone until they send the contract. Yeah, that's a good point right there. Boxing 5 says, I think it's a decent step up for Ortiz. I think a decent step up for Ortiz would be Avesnian, the Armenian guy. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad fight. I think he's ready, though. I think he's ready. He's past those guys. By the way, 92 AKU says Porter is not a great boxer, but outboxed Danny and almost beat Spence. Well, I think what Gonzalo was saying is that he's not a great pure boxer, right, Gonzalo? Like, he's not an 100% outside guy. I'm going to go ahead and speak for Gonzalo and say that that's right, Mr. BDA. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. BDA. He lays his guys from the inside and he smothers his work. He rushes in with his head and he's game. He's willing to trade punches. But along with those rough and tumble assaults, you can catch him with clean shots, especially if you're thrown down the middle, down the pipe. And this guy, like you said, has a Gennady Golovkin style where he's got the length and he can throw punches down the pipe. Like he did against Mauricio Herrera when he knocked him down. When he knocked him out, I mean. Yeah, so I think he would be kind of tailor-made for Ortiz.
Right, but I'll tell you something about Sean Porter is he's liable to get hit coming inside because he's very wild and very energetic, and sometimes he gets a little bit too overzealous in there, so he can get wobbled like he did against Thurman and the way he got dropped against Spence. But when he decides to stay on the outside, though, it's not that easy to catch him. I mean, he stayed on the outside against Ugas, and Ugas wasn't able to catch him as much as he wanted to. Same thing when he started dancing around against, in certain portions against Keith Thurman. So, I mean, the guy can box, and against Danny Garcia. The guy has good defense on the outside, but he doesn't have, because he's very short against that elite welterweights, he's not going to be, the outside boxer all the time. He has to do both and both, a little bit like Andre Ward used to do. It's the way I see it.
I believe his best performance, to me, was the fight against Errol Spence. Because he was able to outbox and catch Errol Spence. It was a pretty close fight on the scorecards. I actually thought he won that one. So he looked pretty good in that fight. He didn't smother his work as much as I had seen him before. And he was game. And, I guess sometimes that awkwardness can work for you. Because fighters don't prepare to fight somebody like that.
That's right.
So it all depends.
Yeah, man. But I mean, the fact that Virgil Ortiz wants these guys, it's very reassuring to hear somebody, a young prospect, speaking like that. Again, I still think he's a borderline prospect. Again, I don't know if he's ranked by the WBC or whatever, but for me, he's a prospect. But I think if you put him in there with one like a Nugas or a Thurman, I think he actually gives him a pretty good fight. He might not win those fights, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't get embarrassed in there. Errol Spence, if it's the Errol Spence pre-accident, that might be a different thing. Maybe Virgil Ortiz needs a little bit more seasoning. We need to see how he reacts to somebody that doesn't go down and keeps fighting back. Because again, he has not gone the distance. He has not gone 12 championship rounds. So, but the fact is, he wants this. And Golden Boy, they really got themselves a jewel in there because they got their problems with Canelo. They have problems now with Ryan Garcia, King Ryan, the king of the Twinks, who insists on getting paid more than what he's demonstrated. Gonzalo, he's got like, I think 1 million or something subscribers on Instagram or whatever. He's got a bunch of viewers on YouTube. But can he translate that into a boxing audience? And so far, he hasn't proved it. But he thinks, he's a Zoomer. So he thinks, oh, hey, I'm famous on YouTube. Pay me $1 million for fighting some guy that nobody's ever heard of.
Well, the irony about that is, Mr. BDA, that his last two performances, he has seemed like he could actually be the goods, and he's got people thinking, even some boxing people, that yeah, he can actually do better than they previously thought, because he demanded that Duno fight when they didn't want to put him in against a tough cookie like him, and he went there and blew him out. And the same thing with the last guy he fought, Fonseca. So I mean, he does have that. He does have the ability, but he also has people like interested to see what kind of performance he's gonna turn in next. So he does have the viewers that could translate into boxing, because people say he's good looking and he's similar to Oscar De La Hoya. He's young. He could put actually like female seats, and he could have female audience. Right now, no, because of the coronavirus. But he could have that side of the female audience tuning into his fights. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting because he does remind me a lot of like Oscar De La Hoya. So Oscar De La Hoya might be thinking, man, I could really promote this guy's career, and if he does prove to be like a good fighter, and does continue to get like these highlight reel knockouts against better competition, he's already got the following. I mean, the more it's pretty interesting.
Gonzalo, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on one thing.
No.
No, I'm gonna have to. I'm not that impressed by his recent early stoppages. I mean, first round stoppages. I mean, look, I know they're flashy. I know first round stoppages go a good long way with people, and you can market a fight around that for sure. It's one of the best things a fighter can do if he wants to gain notoriety. But they're first round knockouts. I want to see what happens if a guy doesn't give him openings. I want to see what happens if a guy starts pressing him and finding him on the outside. I mean, on the inside. Because right now, Ryan Garcia, he's so tall and fast that he intimidates guy with his hand speed. But once a guy gets inside, the only thing I've seen is against Morales and in sparring videos, he holds a lot. It seems like he's got no inside game. So I want to see all of that before I start declaring him the goods.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be nice to see him against a tougher.
But well, we all want to see him against tougher competition. But the guy fucking insists on wanting to get paid more than $200K. So put him in there against Luke Campbell. Hey, he thinks he's ready. He wants to get paid $1 million. Fucking go in there against Campbell. See if you can blow him out. All right.
I was actually watching some Ryan Garcia videos last night. He was hitting some guys that were wearing that body pad. And he was doing these videos where he would hit them at will to see how they reacted. And I mean, the dude can crack. He can crack with both hands on the inside, and he's only getting stronger. When one of them guys took that body shield off, it was like this older guy. His fucking chest was red, and I was reading the comment section, and everybody was like saying, "Oh, this guy's punches sound like a gunshot."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can crack. I mean, but with the light body hitting you back, let's see if he can land those body shots. But he's under the tutelage of Reynoso, so he can only be working on that, along with Canelo Alvarez, on implementing that type of style where the guy's gonna go down to the body and be able to land shots in the inside. But against a light body, we'll have to see.
Exactly. I want to see him against somebody that fights back like that. The guy Morales he fought 2 years ago, and see how he handles it. Can he adapt? Does he have a plan B? Same thing with Virgil Ortiz. I want to see how he reacts to somebody that's not going to go away within 4 or 5 rounds. By the way, I want to go to the chat room real quick. Boxing Virus says Campbell beats Garcia. Mike from Boston says I think Campbell gives him problems. Reverend Pickle says good fight. Alex Tancado says I would pick Campbell. How come Campbell didn't get a belt? LOL, free belts. Not even a free foe. No, not even a fight foe. A vacant belt. Yeah, man. I mean, nowadays there's like 5, 6, 7 titles out there because you get the interim, you get the janitor belt, you got the franchise belt. It's like, come on, can somebody get a freaking belt in there? What's the matter, man? Yeah, he needs to get a better promoter, I think. Claudio Monreal says.
You know what's also interesting?
What's that? Yes.
A lot of people compare Ryan Garcia to Oscar De La Hoya, and I see the similarities. And a lot of people compare Virgil Ortiz Jr. to Fernando Vargas. And we know that rivalry that they used to have between Fernando Vargas and Oscar De La Hoya.
Oh.
Well, Golden Boy Promotions has these 2 fighters in their stable. And they've been kind of mentioned along the same lines. When Ryan Garcia says something bad, De La Hoya will throw out Virgil Ortiz's name to kind of say this is the real superstar in boxing. And even Virgil Ortiz has mentioned, like after a fight, to the guy asking him the questions after the fight, the announcer, he says, "Well, I think Oscar De La Hoya is a good promoter." Kind of throwing like jabs at Ryan Garcia, so I thought that was interesting. Oh, and I watched, they fought each other in the amateurs.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the fight two days ago, BDA. Yep. Ryan Garcia won.
I haven't seen the video, man. I saw you posted it, but I didn't see it. Do you think we can play it, or I don't know? I don't think we can.
I don't see why not.
I don't know, man. Nowadays with freaking YouTube, man, take you down for anything. They take you down for breathing during a live stream. But yeah, listen, I'm not saying Ryan Garcia stinks, but I'm saying is he's no. Look at Ortiz, the guys he's beaten in the last 3 fights, and then look at who Garcia has beaten. And I don't know, you know which would be a good fight too would be the guy that Garcia sparred over the Mayweather gym, Rolly Romero or something like that, some Dominican dude that's undefeated. They fought. There's 2 videos out there of them sparring, 2 different sessions, and they were going at it pretty well, man. And that Romero dude, he's also another one of those Zoomer generation guys who goes online and Instagram a lot and Twitter and has a lot of Twitter beef. So that would be interesting, man. That would be interesting to watch. Now, for the you mentioned De La Hoya. It's interesting how De La Hoya, everybody forgets, because yes, it's true. At the time, a lot of people, especially Mexicans, didn't really, people who were born in Mexico, disliked De La Hoya because, first of all, he beat up Julio Cesar Chavez, which is like beating up on the Virgin Mary. And the fact that some people perceived that he was getting benefits in there. But you remember, Gonzalo, that he did fight some very tough dudes coming up, especially in 1995. It was the year he won Fighter of the Year when he beat Genaro Hernandez. I think Jesse James Leija. What's the other guy's name? The who died of cancer.
El Chicanito.
Chicanito Hernandez. Chicanito Hernandez. And then he beat Rafael Ruelas, who was undefeated at the time. And that was considered a 50-50 fight too. In fact, some De La Hoya haters were like, all right, De La Hoya is going to get it now. He's going to get exposed. And he ended up stopping most of those guys. Oh, he also beat John Molina that year. So, I mean, it was
he got dropped by one of my friends, one of the guys that started teaching me real good sparring in the ring, Narciso Valenzuela. He got dropped for the first time in his professional career. In his 12th professional bout, he hit the canvas. This guy dropped him, but he was able to get up and knock him out like in the second round. I remember.
There were 2 people that dropped him early on in his career, right? There was some European guy and then your friend, I believe.
Narciso Valenzuela, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Where did you meet? Was that back in Tijuana or?
That's back in TJ, yeah.
Okay. By the way,
the sparring and
you're from Tijuana, and you're considered a norteño, more or less. And as you know, in Mexico, there's a rivalry between people in the north and from Tijuana and people from the capital, El DF. And we were talking right now about how De La Hoya was disliked. He was an American. I think he was born in Mexico. No, was he born in the United States or in Mexico?
De La Hoya. He was born in East Los Angeles.
He was born in Islos. All right. So yeah. So people, like I said, some people say, they didn't consider him Mexican because he wasn't born in Mexico. Now you have these sort of petty rivalries that come out of nowhere. What surprises me the most is how right now Nacho Beristain hates another Mexican, and a pure Mexican. I mean, a pure Mexican in the sense that he was born in Mexico, and not a Mexican American thing. Nacho hates Canelo. I have not heard a good word from him from right now. So Gonzalo, I'm just gonna play you this clip. It's in Spanish for everybody, but we're just gonna translate it real quick later on what he said. But Gonzalo, I don't know if you've heard this before, but hold on a second. Okay.
Para colgar los guantes. El manager confiesa que de joven le revolvía el estómago pensar que tenía que entrenar boxeadores. Y curioso, pues...
No, hold on.
Son las putas. No me gusta verlo porque...
Okay, now they ask him about the boxing. What does he prefer, boxing or
y se
football?
Pone a ver la televisión.
Pues fíjate que a veces sí, porque cuando me dicen va a pelear el Canelo ni le pongo atención. No me gusta verlo porque a mi juicio van como 5 peleas que le regalan, pero unas realmente descarado, y se ve la gran protección que tiene para cuidar el negocio, y hasta ese punto estoy de acuerdo, pero que no lo quieran vender como el ídolo actual del boxeo mexicano, porque la neta no es.
All right, so essentially they asked him if he watches boxing. He says no, he prefers to watch. Somebody says he has a lisp. Yeah, I think he does have a bit of a lisp. I think he suffered a stroke, by the way. I think that might be it. But anyway, they asked him, do you like watching boxing, Canelo? He says, when Canelo fights, he says, I'd rather watch football, aka soccer. Because he says, Canelo, they're trying to prop him up to be something he's not. And he says, straight up, he says, I think he's robbed about 5 guys. I think he says Canelo has gotten the benefit of that in at least 5 fights. Now, Gonzalo, let's go through that. Because this isn't something new. I mean, there was... I was listening to a little bit of TJ Boxing or Radio Tijuana. What's the channel name? Boxeo Tijuana, I think, right? You ever heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Boxeo Tijuana.
Yes.
They were interviewing Nacho Beristain last night, I believe. And he was putting Canelo down, which, listen, I'm not a Canelo. Okay, here's the channel for anybody that is the Boxeo Tijuana. They interview Mexican boxers, Mexican trainers. And he was complaining about Canelo. Now, again, I'm not a Canelo lover. I know for a fact, Gonzalo, you're not a Canelo lover, although you do tend to give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But again, Beristain was saying that Estrada's trainer and his team and that Estrada was better than Canelo. And now he's saying that Canelo has gotten the benefit of the doubt in 5 fights. Let's go through that. Let's count. Let's go through the fights and see in which fights he's gotten the benefit of the doubt. All right. So let's go even as far back as the Mayweather fight, right? Because one judge had it a draw. So I suppose you could say, even though he lost that fight, he got the benefit of the doubt from one judge, right? Okay, so let's count.
We can't. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's count the Austin Trout fight too, as if it was a robbery. Because I know some people say, "Oh, Austin Trout deserved that fight." Let's say Austin Trout. Let's say Floyd Mayweather, Lara. That's 4. I mean, that's 3 right there. Some people, even I think from TV Azteca, the announcing team, they thought Cotto won the fight against Canelo. So that's 4. Then you go to the Golovkin fight, the first one, 5. And if you want to say that he robbed Golovkin in the second, which I don't agree, I think it was a very close fight. You can even say 6, or even 7 if you want to count the Kovalev debacle. But even then,
back
7.
Back in the beginning, he got a draw against Jorge Juarez, a buddy of mine from the gym down in TJ. He actually lost that one, but that's when he was barely beginning.
Yeah, nobody knows about that.
He wasn't nothing in the beginning.
He was a what?
I mean, he wasn't that much of a fighter. Nacho Beristain is right in a lot of ways, but as the years have gone by, he's really, really improved, and everybody can see that. I think he's really, really improved.
Absolutely, but you have to wonder. Oh yeah, first of all, before we get into that, we can.
BDA. I watched the last 3 rounds of the second fight between him and Triple G 2 days ago, and I gave Triple G the last 3 rounds. He really put it on him. Yup, I think that before I had the last round to Canelo, but now that I rewatched it, I think Triple G won the last 3 rounds.
Jeez,
the rematch. That rematch was like really, really close. Man, you could have given that to Triple G too, that fight.
Absolutely. I thought he won that fight, Triple G. That's my opinion. Again, I thought it was very close. I didn't scream robbery. Just in my opinion, if I would have been a judge that day, on that night, I would have given it to Golovkin. Now, if you raise my memory and you make me watch it and score it again, might go to Canelo's way. Maybe because you know me, I love body shots, and he really did put a hurt on Golovkin's body. Now, Gonzalo, do you think that was Golovkin's last hurrah? Like he left it all in there, and he's never going to be the same again? Because that was a hard fight.
Yeah, he's declining. His ability to pull the trigger is not the same. He's always going to have the power and I think the chin. He can still soak up some punishment and possibly not get knocked out. But he's catching a lot of shots.
Yeah, man, that Derevchenko
and you know what? And you know what, BDA? They talk about how Golovkin's like this master boxer. I agree. But the more I've been thinking about it, he hasn't really separated himself from the European style in many ways. He's still very upright. I was watching him, and I was thinking to myself, he's always been like this. Triple G's got that ramrod jab, but he gets hit a lot because he's really frontal. He's really upright. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. In the Derevchenko fight, it cost him. That's why I thought Jacobs did better against Derevchenko than Golovkin did, because Jacobs is more of a loosey-goosey, flexible upper body type guy. Slick, if you want to call it, which, I hate that word, but let's use it anyway. Whereas Golovkin, he can roll with the shots, he can roll with the right hands, but ultimately he likes to just, put his chin down, guard up, and just absorb shots on the forehead. And against Derevchenko, it cost him because I suppose he underestimated how hard Derevchenko could hit, and he was piercing his guard and snapping his head back. So that's a fight where I definitely agree with you, Gonzalo, where he showed his limitations of his style, where he just upright European style wasn't working for him, especially with the angles that Derevchenko was showing him. But you know what? That's what I think. I think that second Canelo fight, because both guys worked hard in that fight, and I thought Golovkin stepped it up in that fight. Every time Canelo would land something, he would come right back. He would work the jab. You could tell he was pushing. You could tell he was taking deep breaths and pushing himself to throw something more and throw more jabs. But I think that was his last hurrah, man. I mean, the Derevchenko fight, he won it. It was a close fight, but he won it. But now, I don't know. That's why I want to see him fight a top-class opponent, not some nobody from the Ukraine like he wants to. He wants to fight his mandatory. And I said, that's a waste of time, Triple G. You're 39 years old, man. You got to step on the pedal a bit and at least take on somebody like, it's as crazy as it sounds, take on Lemieux again. Somebody who's got hand speed and power and who's going to push you and make you be sharp. Not some guy that can't hit hard. I mean, what does he prove by stepping in there against the guy he wants to face? Sedemata, like boxing viruses. Sedemata from Poland. Oh, Poland. Okay, I said Ukraine. My bad. I don't think Polish people even know where Ukraine is. No, I'm kidding. But go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, I mean, what is he gonna do? Knock out Triple G?
I mean, I'm laughing because obviously
he's gonna hurt his hands. He can't punch. He's gonna hurt his hands punching Triple G.
Yeah, he's gonna hurt his own fucking hands in there. Listen, Sedemata, he's from Poland. He should go learn how to fucking change a light bulb. Stay away from Triple G. Let Triple G fight somebody that can give you a proper fight. All right. Well, we wouldn't want to see him taking on these type of guys. He's past those type of guys. Now, some people are going to say, but look at all the tough guys he fought, man. Look at all the tough guys he fought. Maybe he deserves a bit of a tune-up. And to that, I say, I don't know. What do you think, Gonzalo?
not well with the coronavirus. These guys, a lot of these guys could use that excuse to get it to him. Yeah, but he's got to wrap it up, and he needs to do something for himself, for his legacy. A lot of people want to see him in better fights because some people don't consider that he's Hall of Fame worthy because when he had the tough fights, okay, he kind of like they were close fights against Jacobs, Devyachenko, and Canelo, that he hasn't had that defining victory. I tend to disagree with that personally because he had all those defenses, and I consider him one of the most dominant boxers in the last decade. But a lot of people will be kind of critical of his career because he needs those signature victories. So he needs to prove those naysayers, those doubters.
Well, let me tell you, man,
He needs to add to his legacy.
if he wants to stay on top of that top 10 pound for pound list, he better fight somebody that's worth it. Them, because this Zedemata guy, I don't see the point. I love Triple G's fights. I love watching him fight. He's very exciting and he works the craft pretty well. But why would I watch him fight some dude that stands absolutely almost as close to zero a chance as there can be in boxing? I'm sorry, I can get I can think of 10 things better to do than watch Golovkin fight some nobody. I'm sorry. I mean, it's no disrespect to Zedemata, but it's world class boxing. What do you want to do? If you can't keep up with the big dogs, stay on the porch. All right. Speaking of big dogs. Yes.
So I was going to mention. Remember when Julio Cesar Chavez fought Frankie Randall? He came out of nowhere. Yeah, that style was all wrong for Julio Cesar Chavez. Frankie Randall had good power, and he was longer than Chavez. He was a tough fighter. Man, I think that moment is coming like for Triple G, like you said. He's ready for the taking, but you got to find that style. A fighter that has some power and got some boxing skills, yeah.
It's a great comparison.
I think it was you were saying.
It's a great comparison, the Chavez versus Randall, because at that point Chavez, he was hitting the alcohol, I think even the coke a little bit as well, and the fact that he went in there against Randall, who was he'd been around for a while, Randall, but he'd never beaten a great opponent. He'd never made it to the big time. He always came up short, but in that fight he put it all together. And Chavez, once he realized, oh shit, this guy's taking rounds away from me early on, and he pushed to try to get Randall out of there, and Randall wasn't going anywhere, and it just turned into a firefight. And then he dropped Chavez with that big right hand. That was all she wrote. That sealed the deal to get the decision. And why? Because Randall was a guy that could take Chavez's shots, could fight him on the inside, and actually seemed to be affecting Chavez more with his shots than Chavez was affecting him, although Chavez landed some bombs to the body. But so I think the same thing almost happened with Golovkin and Devyachenko. I think he met a guy that was just pushing him and taking his shots and getting his face all busted up, but still staying in there and still being able to take those shots. And although he couldn't match his power, he definitely outmatched him when it came to activity, I thought, with some of the combinations, although Golovkin's jab really did bail him out in that one. But yeah, man, I'm Golovkin, you're right, man, because like Chavez, once these guys like Chavez, Jose Luis Castillo, Golovkin, they got great power, but they slowed down just a little bit, and those single shots, now they're missing the mark because they're not as sharp as they used to be. Their reflexes are gone, and now they're taking more shots because they were never the fastest guy out there in the world, and so they're taking shots, they're not landing shots, and you can put two and two together and see how that goes for them later on. So Golovkin is in that tough spot right now. He's as rusty as the Tin Can Man from Wizard of Oz. He needs to get some oil in there, get looser or something, because right now he just looks too tight, too slow, and he's been taking too many shots in his past 2 fights. But again, Gonzalo, you know what? I'm not an alarmist. I'm not one of those guys that's going to go, oh, he's finished. He loses to all the top 10 middleweights out there. Nah, man. Let's see him back in there. Because again, he's no joke, man. He still has that jab. He still has that power. And like you mentioned, he still has that chin. So nobody's going to be walking through him. Even Canelo, by the way.
Yeah. And I think also, like, if they fight him at 64, catch weight, or 68, the guys that are bigger and younger, those guys, yeah, that's going to be what's gonna really test Golovkin. He's probably gonna lose one of those.
Yeah, they're gonna be a problem, but they're not gonna, they're not gonna beat him. By the way, guys, StreamYard. Somebody was asking earlier. Sorry about that. StreamYard. You just create an account on StreamYard, and then you click on this linky right here, and so we're gonna be using that instead of the phone calls for today, because I don't know how I gotta get Butch on this on the phone calls. I think we got somebody on here. Yo, what's up?
It's Jackson. Can you hear me?
Oh, Jackson. I think, yeah, okay, yeah, Jackson. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, guys? How you doing, Gonzalez?
Gonzalo, yeah. What's up, Jackson?
Yeah, who's Gonzalo?
Gonzalo, sorry.
I mean, who's Gonzalez?
Sorry,
yeah. What's the matter with you?
My
ever since elementary school, they used to say that to me.
What the fuck are we doing out here? I asked you. What the fuck are we doing out here? I asked you.
Start getting the name right, or you're out.
BDA, I wanted to say, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in the Dechenko fight, he did his feet looked very slow, but I thought Jonathan Banks did a good job with his hand speed. His hand speed looked a little faster. Like he was moving around slowly, but I thought he had quicker hands, and he definitely left it all out there in the second Canelo fight. There's no doubt. Like I watched that fight last night, and that was the body shots of Canelo and the jab at Triple G. That fight was something else.
It was sensational, man. It was sensational. Let me ask Gonzalo what you to opine on what you just claimed. What do you think? What Jackson just said? Do you think that Golovkin did look a little looser in the Virchenko fight, at least in the early rounds? No, I think Gonzalo's MIA for the moment.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking about the hands, the hand speed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked looser, more rhythmic. I think that was the game plan from Jonathan Banks. But he wasn't sitting down as much and turning his shots as he used to with Abel Sanchez. Yeah, he was more rhythmic.
Yeah.
So, but Jackson, what do you think about what we were talking about? Are a lot of people exaggerating? Because that's what boxing fans tend to do. Like, a guy has two, he lost to Golovkin once, and then he struggled a little bit against Virchenko, who's no joke. And all of a sudden now he's finished. Everybody beats him. What do you think? Are people exaggerating? Is the truth in between those two things? What do you think?
They're not exaggerating. People didn't watch him when he was in his prime. Like right after the Lemieux fight, he started to drop. If you watch some of his earlier fights, the guy did have footwork. He could shift. He could move his head. And they're watching the tail end of a guy who's almost 40 years old, who's still, like, think, if you're 38 and you're still, like, a top 3 middleweight, you are something pretty special. Like, this guy is not the overrated fighter they keep talking about. He beat Danny Jacobs. He arguably beat Canelo twice, and he's almost 40. I mean, imagine this guy in his prime. Imagine Canelo at 38 and Triple G at 28. Triple G would knock him out inside like 6 rounds. So this guy was a special fighter. And so I would say, yes, it's somewhere in between. No doubt.
Absolutely.
I think that's a sensible choice, man. But because, I mean, Golovkin, again, he was a world-class amateur at the time. He's got a great jab. He's got the great chin, great power, good ring IQ. So for people to say, well, this guy's gonna run through him or that guy's gonna, it's like who went? Like I think maybe Charlo could beat him. Maybe he could edge a fight against him, but run over him and stop him. It's like when people say Canelo would stop him in the rubber match, which is supposed to happen. They're saying it might happen in 2021. Canelo is not Derevchenko. He's not going to go in there and throw volleys of shots. Canelo's a 2-3 shot at a time type of guy. Then he goes into defensive mode. Then he makes you miss. Then he goes again with another flurry, a counter here, a counter there. But he's not going to be throwing shots in volume, in bulk, the way Derevchenko did.
He doesn't have the footwork. Doesn't have the footwork either. Exactly. Derevchenko, people started talking about Pacquiao fighting Triple G because of Derevyanchenko's style. Obviously, Pacquiao can't fight Triple G, but because how he kept turning him. Did you guys see that? How he kept turning him and turning him. That's why.
Yeah.
See, Canelo doesn't have that footwork. With Canelo and Triple G, it's always going to be a shootout. And Canelo probably will put Triple G down for the first time, just like Frankie Randall put Chavez down. I could see that happening.
Wait. Could you repeat that? Sorry, because I was doing something here, spaced out for 2 seconds. Who would drop Golovkin?
I can see like how Frankie Randall put Chavez down. If Canelo fights Triple G again, I can see Canelo dropping Triple G with a straight right.
Whoa.
I mean, he's got to break sometime. I mean, he is a tough guy, but just like Julio Cesar Chavez, Frankie Randall just cracked him and he went down. That's got to happen at some point.
Yeah, probably, man. Probably. I don't know, man. Look, listen. That's why I want to see Golovkin fight somebody that's got balls and who's gonna offer up some form of firepower, and not some dude that's got 5 knockouts out of 20 fights and who's faced nobody that's world class. Nobody. What do you think,
Yeah,
Jack?
why is he fighting this guy?
I don't know. You tell me why.
Hey, that's some Charlo pussy shit. Like,
what's LA? Listen, I don't know what to tell you, man. Also, okay, so by the way, we were talking about how what's his name, Nacho Beristain was saying, oh, Canelo has had 5 robberies. He's robbed 5 people. He's gotten the benefit of that 5 times. We stretched it. What? Hold on a second. Shout out to Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News, who just donated the super chat, and he says if Golovkin gets dropped, it'll be to the body. I agree with that. I think.
Oh, it could be. It could be. Derevyanchenko had him hurt badly to the body, and the ref got in the way.
Hey, by the way, we got Seamus Carey says, "Is this clown," referring to you, Jackson? "Is this clown really on the panel now?" Because I put your picture there up on the screen. First of all, Seamus, we got the StreamYard open, so if you want to jump in and tell that to Jackson, straight up. We need a little entertainment right now, so go ahead and do that. I'm gonna put the StreamYard here on the link on the chat again, guys. Where it's an open forum right now, anybody can come in.
Yeah, hop on.
That's why I put him up there, just to fill up the screen a little bit. So come on, Seamus. Come on, Patty Boy.
Come on, pussy boy.
Whoa, I said Patty Boy. I didn't say pussy boy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. And by the way, again, shout out to Mark from Unrivaled Boxing Talk. And he's on here right now. Mark, are you there? Marky boy, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry. I was just fixing my speaker.
Yeah, okay. Get your head out of the Lucky Charms box and let's get right onto it, right, man? Listen, I was gonna ask you and Jackson, because we were playing a little clip of Nacho Beristain from a Mexican channel, and he says he hates to watch Canelo. He doesn't think highly of the motherfucker, and he says Canelo has gotten the benefit of the doubt in at least 5 fights. Now, we went through his record, and we really stretched it. We counted the Mayweather fight as a gift, because one judge gave him a draw, which he obviously didn't deserve. We said the Lara fight. We said the Cotto fight, because some in the Mexican channel TV Azteca, the announcers, they thought Canelo didn't deserve the decision. They thought Cotto got robbed. The first, what's it called? The first Golovkin fight, the second Golovkin fight, and the Kovalev debacle. What do you guys think? Do you disagree with Beristain? Has he been drinking too much haterade, or what's going on here?
Well, him and Canelo haven't gotten along well for years, have they? There was arguments between Canelo and Marquez a good few years ago, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or they even held. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Canelo said he beat the shit out of Marquez or something. So that's been like that for a long time. But as for the stretching, like him talking about fights being benefit of a doubt, I don't know why you didn't mention Lara. I don't know why you didn't mention Austin Trout.
Oh, sorry,
You said
we did. Sorry, we did.
True.
Yeah. So that's why we counted 7. We counted 7 or 8, I think.
You could say you got the benefit of the doubt in a few of his fights, yeah, but most people have. I mean, let's look at a fighter a lot of people rate as the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, Chavez, yeah? He not got the benefit of the doubt a few times.
A whole bunch, yeah.
I watched the
Against,
Laporte and the Rocky
Pernell
Lodge
Whitaker.
fight. I thought he won those. The Rocky Lodge and Laporte fight, I think he did win. But you know what? The second Frankie Randall fight, I thought he lost it. It ended
Johnny
like
Boy
in the 7th
fucked the
round
tranny.
by
Johnny
a
Boy
head
fucked the
flash.
tranny. Johnny Boy fucked the tranny. Unrival, you a bitch. You got exposed by the LDBC. You a pussy. A racist called me a nigger. I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna knock the racism out of you, bitch.
Oh, and he left. That's all he does. That's all he does.
Reminds me of Stoney, the boxing trainer who always was like, oh, the ref's a cocksucker. That reminds me of what's his name? H Money.
H Money. Listen. He jumps on. He screams a little bit, and then when he goes back to his channel, he puts it in there, and he like for him, it's a mark of pride to come into a stream and just scream like a retard. He's an infantile retard, really. I mean, I think he's sick or something. Anyway, I don't know what's wrong with the guy, but H Money, you got to get yourself a life, man. Because seriously, people, have you seen his streams, by the way? He puts the name of live fights, and he can't even get 300 people to watch it. It's pathetic at this point. H Money, you gotta step it up, baby. Stop drinking that ghetto alcohol. Yeah, whatever. What was I gonna say? Oh, by the way, I had to read the super chat from before I forget. Father Ted Crilly says up the RA.
Oh my God, Mr. BDA. Up the Ra.
Up the Ra. What does that mean, up the Ra?
It's IRA.
Oh, the IRA. Well, I'm sorry I didn't know that. Jesus Christ.
Up the Ra.
Shout out to Father Ted for his contribution. Thanks a lot, man. All right. So where were we? Okay, so Mark, you were making the point that, okay, he got the benefit of the doubt in a couple of fights, which is true, right? If you're the A side, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. You're going to piss off boxing fans, but that's life, right?
Floyd got the benefit of the doubt versus Castillo.
That's right.
Mr. BDA, I think it goes back. I think it goes back to when Oscar beat up an old Julio Cesar Chavez, and they basically see Canelo as an extension of, the Golden Boy brand and De La Hoya, and they see him as like because this is the A-side era of boxing, and I think because Marquez is to me is a far more accomplished fighter than Canelo, so I think that's what he maybe is getting at it. Maybe Unrivaled knows more about this because of El Finito, the guy that was 51-0, and he also trained him. So, and he might not have got the credit he deserved. So that might have something to do with it.
That's got nothing to do with him being a good fighter and everything to do with nobody gives a shit about minimum. It's the honest truth.
No, I'm saying because he didn't get the exposure that Canelo's getting, and he was probably in most people's opinion a better fighter. Don't you agree?
Who, Finito?
Yes.
That has a lot to do with that he's a small guy. A lot of the smaller guys don't get to shine that the bigger guys.
I mean, mate, Finito, he fought in a weak division, mate.
It's true, man. If he would have been fighting in the 50s, he would have been forced to fight some bigger guys because there was no strawweight division back then. So in a way, he benefited from staying in that lower weight division and then moving up eventually, I believe. But listen, the point is, we're getting away from the subject a little bit here. Nacho Beristain says he doesn't like Canelo. Marquez said the same thing. Nacho Beristain's pupil. Why is there this hate from Nacho Beristain? Because with everything that Nacho Beristain has accomplished with his fighters, I mean, every generation, every decade, he had somebody as a champ or as a top-level contender. All of a sudden, Canelo comes in, and he's crying about him because that's what it looks like, man. I mean, come on, really. Maybe
Nacho wanted to try Canelo.
Maybe. Maybe
it has a little something to do with the fact that Marcus, he was successful and he achieved a lot of things, but it happened mainly like in his like later years, like in the mid 30s, and Canelo got started earlier, achieved so much by this juncture in his career. Like, let's say Marcus, by the age that Canelo is now, he hadn't really done anything.
Not in comparison, no, because like maybe people won't like me saying that. Canelo's already comparable to Marquez. He's already comparable in resume.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, you know what? Maybe we can glean something from the chat room, because Boxing Virus says, sure, Leonard got the benefit of the doubt against Hagler. Again, that's another example of the A side getting the benefit of the doubt in certain fights. 92 AK.
Ali over Norton.
Oh, that's another. You could argue in two other three fights, man. 92 AKU says Canelo is on his way to being the greatest of all time. Grievous says Hagler never lost that fight. I can see why Hagler was so pissed off. Boxing Virus says I think Canelo is better than Finito, way better. Steve Brown says Nacho is definitely bitter. Remember how him and Juan Manuel Marquez were always moaning and crying robberies even after clear defeats. You know what? That's a good point, because I was a huge Marquez supporter, especially in the mid 2000s, when everybody was talking about Barrera and Pacquiao 2, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, what about Marquez? Now, though, in hindsight, guys, he did seem like a bit of a crybaby. Every time he lost, robbery this, robbery that. He was obsessed with Pacquiao. Now he's obsessed with Canelo. What do you guys think? Do you think Marquez is suffering from his mentor's syndrome, or?
Look, Marquez is a good fighter, but since he was a counter puncher, that style tends to leave it like on the table in the close fights. So you could say you did enough, but as far as being a counter puncher, you're not always going to do enough fighting a style that throws more punches.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to land your share of punches in the counter, but facing a guy that throws more punches, it's always going to be hard to call for the judges.
That's a very good point.
He beat a Barrera pretty good. And
you cut off there, Jackson.
Look, I don't think anybody here is going to say Marquez isn't a great fighter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Great fighter. But also, like, make what you want the benefits of it do. I mean, with Canelo, but Canelo's resume is Teflon. It's Teflon. Can't go near it. It's a great resume. He's fastly becoming one of the greatest Mexican fighters ever with that resume.
It's a good point.
He only turned, what, 30 years of age today?
The
most glaring things, more years. Who knows what he'll achieve?
It's a good point, man. I mean, listen, people go, he didn't beat Triple G the first time. Okay, but are you really gonna be arguing with us that he didn't get the win, or he couldn't have gotten the win the second fight, which he did? I mean, are you gonna tell me that was a robbery too? Like, that makes no sense. You know what, people? That's what I'm saying is that the Trout fight too. I thought it was very competitive. I thought it was close, but I think ultimately he won it. So these people complaining he didn't get this one, he didn't get that one, he didn't get embarrassed either. So he's as good, if not better, than some of these guys. You know what I mean? So people tend to be very nitpicky when it comes to resume, and to say Canelo is.
I had him by a point. I had him by a point in both the Lara and Trail fight.
There you go.
I had Triple G winning in the first fight, and I had Canelo by a point in the second fight.
But see, that's what I'm saying is when you get, let's say you fight five top guys, and 3 of those fights are clearly yours, and 2 of those are a little closer, but you get the wins anyway. Isn't that string of consistency indicative that you are a top fighter?
Yeah.
The only fight I would say, like, outside of Floyd, right, where I would say outright he lost was the first Golovkin fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I can't say he lost any fight 100%. It's close. They're close fights. They're hard fights.
Yeah, right.
They're great fighters.
Especially if Lara's on the back foot, avoiding the exchanges. I'm not going to give him extra points for boxing on the back foot and avoiding the exchange.
Absolutely.
He gave a good fight. Lara gave a good fight, but you can't say he got robbed.
I'm not going to give
by the way, sorry. Gerald, who's on the StreamYard, I think we can hear the feedback on the speakers, so if you could lower that.
But you can't say he got robbed.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to lower the volume.
By the way, sorry.
Gerald, who's on the StreamYard, I think we can hear the feedback on the speakers. So.
And in the Austin Trout fight, he got the knockdown. He got the feedback.
Sorry about that, fellas.
He got the knockdown. He got the knockdown, and he was winning the fight, but he gassed out in the end. But I mean, yes, Trout was throwing a lot of punches, but those punches were really insignificant. He had a lot of activity, but he wasn't really landing anything with authority. So with the lead that Canelo had, yeah, I think he won by like a point.
Well, he did have him busted up a little bit. I will say that. By the way, hold on. Let's see if Gerald Jones, because I think he's got. Yeah, Gerald, will you get your speakers on, man? So we can, every time we speak, we hear ourselves in the background on a delay. So you got to put some.
I got everything repeating, so I can't really.
Yeah, you got to put some earphones on, man, because you got the speakers, and that's why we hear ourselves in the background. You got to put some speakers on, man. I mean, some earphones. All right, guys, by the way, the StreamYard link is in there, so go ahead and check that out if you want to jump in and give us your opinion on that. Yeah, the Lara fight. Okay, Unrivaled, what did you think of the Lara fight?
I thought Lara fought very negatively. He did well. I mean, he picked up a few rounds, nicked a few. You could argue there was one swing round, but I had it like 7-5. Well, actually, I had it. What did I had 6-5, 1 even.
6-5, 1 even for Canelo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought Lara was moving way too much. Judges, especially Vegas judges, they don't like that. They don't like a guy. You remember there was a sequence where Canelo fainted and Lara was on the ropes and he slid off the ropes and just went all the way over to the corner. And I'm thinking, what are you doing, man? I mean, he was just running away. By the way, La Evolucion is in the chat room saying, I'm sitting here in the StreamYard waiting while BDA lets on screaming trolls and people who make massive echoes. Yeah, well, last time you were interrupting a little bit too much, so I said, you know what, I'm going to put you on the sidelines a little bit there, La Evolucion. I didn't want to make it public, but if you're going to go in the chat complaining about it, hold on a second, we got D, is that you? Oh, hold on a second. I can't hear you. Hold on.
The LDBC, you pussy ass, racist ass bitch. Call me a nigger. LDBC, expose your bitch ass on the Cali Enigma video. Stop ducking the smoke. I expose your bitch ass.
I don't understand.
Johnny Boy, you in love with a tranny. Okay. Johnny Boy was sleeping with a tranny.
Hey, H Money, can we have a conversation, man?
All of you bums.
H Money, can we have a conversation?
Stop ducking.
Can we have a conversation?
You a bitch.
Can we have a conversation? Can we have a conversation, H Money? H Money, jeez, look at him go, man. What do you have to drink to be able to go like that? That's what I'm wondering.
Just remove him.
No, I want to see how long he can go, man. I want to see how long he can go. Hold on. Oh, come on. Why does he hang up? He hangs up by himself. I want to hear what he has to say, but he just he goes on and on and on. I mean, this is very disappointing from H Money. I guess the live streams with the ESPN cards and the UFC cards are not getting him the numbers he thought. So he's back to trolling again, I suppose. I mean, those 300.
I mean, he's talking about like exposing me. So like, I'll just say something. H Money, I looked up that address that you talked about, and I found the person who actually lives there and called her, and she's very scared that there's a man online putting her address out there for people to go and fight him.
That the authorities could get involved in that. Maybe the Federal Communications Commission, because I don't think you're allowed to be giving out your phone number or somebody else's phone number like that on the internet. That's a version of doxing.
No, he's giving out her address and telling people, this is my address, come find me.
That's a big no-no right there, man. He could get in a lot of trouble. But looking at how he lives and his appearance, I think he's not averse to getting into trouble. I think he's been in trouble his whole life. I think the moment he was born, he was in trouble with that hairline of his. All right, by the way, we got Virtuoso on the line. Virtuoso, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so where were we? With Canelo. We were talking about Canelo Lara, yeah. That fight, I mean, this motherfucker, Lara was running, so you gotta accept the fact that the judges, especially Las Vegas judges, they're not gonna like that. A guy moving around, running around that much. The Cotto fight, I mean, was that a robbery?
Oh, that was a good fight. It was close. Cotto was moving very well with his feet. He was fleet-footed, dexteric, changing from lateral to pivoting, boxing, and he won a lot of the rounds. I mean, but Canelo was also boxing very well and was landing more of the powerful punches. In the end, I thought it was a draw, but then in my heart of hearts, I said I think Canelo edged it out because he there was like 2 rounds where he landed like really, really authoritative shots. But it could have been a draw.
Well, there
I had
you
him
go.
winning, I ain't complaining.
Virtuoso, who did you have winning that one?
You know, at first, when I first saw the fight, I thought Lara edged it out based off his jab and outlanding him. But yeah, he's a quality fighter. But like to me, you can't leave any doubt, to the judges. You got to take the fight to him. And looking back, I felt that Canelo was more of the power puncher. He was very aggressive. And really forced Lara to backpedal. Well, not backpedal, but like just keep boxing on the back foot. And
Keeping him thinking, right,
I don't. Hold on, let me finish my point. I don't think Vegas is very kind to that kind of Cuban amateur like point style fighting. That's just it. This is yeah. I thought looking back, I thought Canelo won that one. Just based on his aggressiveness and his eagerness to mix it up in there.
It's like he had him thinking, right, Virtuoso? He had him thinking a lot.
Oh yeah. He did. There's just no way that you're gonna be like this counterpuncher or this slick fighter. I mean, credit to Canelo for taking that fight because this was after he fought Floyd and he got schooled. And for him to take that fight against another slick counterpuncher like Lara, a boxer like that, it takes a lot of balls. But that's not, it's all political to me. Like, and then I know it's taking a little credit from Alvarez, but like that's just the way things goes, man. It's like you're the star. They're gonna give you advantages, and he's too good for that, especially now.
Very good points, man. That's what Gonzalo said also, in a way. I've always been curious, though. What would have happened had, what's his name, Lara and Canelo had a rematch in, let's say, 2016 or 17? Because I think Canelo has gotten a little bit better, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, at cutting the ring off and being more aggressive. Whereas back in those days, he was still the Canelo who, think about it. It's just been 1 year since he'd fought Austin Trout. And in that fight, also in the Austin Trout, he was very calm, a little too calm. He didn't really know how to cut the ring off. He was jumping in with overhand rights, missing with those right hands. And it's the same thing with Canelo. Now, though, he's a little bit more composed, more feints, tighter shots. So I'd always been curious to see what would have happened. But Lara, though, I don't think he's going to be fighting anytime soon now, especially with the COVID thing. Hold on, let me see. What is Lara's last fight? Was it against that Argentinian dude?
Yes.
Okay, and that was on, hold on a second. That was on, okay, no, so the Castano fight was in March 2019, and his last fight was in last August against Ramon Alvarez. So.
Oh, that's right. Canelo's brother.
Yeah, that was one of those Lara fights that was just to bite some time. Yeah, go ahead.
He blew him out of there, man.
Yeah.
He really, really picked them apart. Say that. Brian Castano, that was a good performance. BDA, I thought that Brian Castano won, but it was ruled a draw. That was a good fight. He did very well for himself, and against Jared Hurd, I think he did good too. Although he got dropped, I don't think he got stopped, but that was a good fight. I mean, he's older, but he's still game. This is Lara.
Yeah, man, people sleep on Brian Castano, man, but he's got that win over Michel Soro, who's no joke. But for some reason, because he hasn't fought in the States that much, Castano, people tend to overlook him. So, but that's the thing with him, man. It's with Lara. I thought he was a pretty good puncher, though. But it's just he was content to throw one shot at a time. That was the problem right there.
Yeah, I'm not a real fan of like stingy punchers, man.
Nobody is.
Yeah. Do you notice like in the fight against Jared Hurd that Lara kind of lost his legs? Because I know you brought up Canelo fighting in like Lara for a rematch, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have ran into that same issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe, man. I mean, look, the thing we heard was that was an older Lara, and yeah. By the way, Virtuoso, what do you want? I mean, what are you watching in the background there?
Oh no, this is my brother playing NBA 2K. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
yeah, it's a little loud, man. I don't know if you can maybe sequester
I'll
yourself
mute it.
I don't know if you can sequester yourself in a closet or something to mute the sound.
No, I'm not trapped in a closet like H Money. It sounds like
Oh,
there's a drop in the testosterone levels.
yeah. I think if you put too much testosterone in him too quickly, he dies because it's gonna be a shock to his body. It's not accustomed to testosterone. But look, listen, I'm not here to disparage anybody. We were talking about Lara. I thought Lara was a decent puncher. I guess Hurd though, his legs were gone, and Hurd was doing a very good job sticking to it. But Hurd, isn't it interesting? I don't know if this is true or not, but I think this was the rumor when they were talking about the Williams rematch, and all of a sudden Williams said, "Yeah, okay, but we got to do a VIDA testing." And all of a sudden Hurd said, "Whoops, I'm not interested in the rematch anymore." It's like, how the fuck can you not be interested in the rematch of the guy who just beat you? And it's not like he got, he didn't get blown out of there. Hurd did, he kept fighting, he kept throwing shots, but I thought it was suspect the way he just decided, you know what, I'm not interested in the rematch as soon as that VIDA testing. Can anybody confirm or deny that for me, please? Because I'm not sure if this is just hearsay.
About the VADA testing, I hadn't heard anything about that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can look it up. I'm gonna try to look it up early, but that was just something that I heard, and it made me think, because Jared Hurd does look like a fucking super, not even a super middleweight. He looks like a light heavyweight in there, man. Shout out to Father Jack Hackett, who just donated the super chat. Shout out to Father Jack Hackett, who says boxing. Just boxing. All right. Well, shout out to Father Jack Hackett. Thank you for your contribution. Remember to leave a larger message out there if you want. A longer message, not larger. Okay, I wanted to get to this because we talked about Canelo and all that. Okay. In the news also, Julio Cesar Chavez, the one and only Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the son of the legend, who is... there he is, walking in high heels. His new talent. It's always good to have something to fall back on. If boxing is not working out, you always got to have an exit plan. And now I think we see that Chavez Jr. has that modeling career ahead of him that he can always fall back on if boxing doesn't work out for him. Look at him go. All right, enough of that stuff. If anybody wants to puke...
El gran maricón mexicano.
Hey, wait a minute now. That type of... those type of slurs are not welcome here at BDA Boxing. You know that. All right, but...
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Demonetized.
The news coming from via Boxing Scene is that Chavez Jr. has been suspended indefinitely. That's right, indefinitely by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. This all stems from the fact that he, right before the Dana Jacobs fights or during the Jacobs, I forget, he was evading people from VIDA. When they come with the cup collecting for the piss. And, we're getting a telegram and saying that this is official. All right. So it says, he's been, the court finds that under the current Nevada regulatory and statutory scheme that Nevada State Athletic Commission lawfully exercised both initial jurisdiction and lawfully retained jurisdiction over plaintiff in continuing disciplinary actions against plaintiff, which is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So it comes with the court order that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is a bunch of legalese. Point is, suspended indefinitely. This comes after a slew of bad performances from Chavez, both inside and outside the ring. And we're not just talking about the walking in heels. We're talking about him testing positive for another PED. We're talking about the whole history with the, what's it called? Andy Lee. In that fight too, there were some shenanigans going on with the Texas Commission and the drug testing post-fight. And Emmanuel Stewart, the late Emmanuel Stewart, complained about it long and hard, but it fell on deaf ears. He also tested positive for marijuana during one fight, which again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it just piles on top of a whole list of things that he's done wrong in regards to certain banned substances. And now the Jacobs debacle, both inside and outside the ring. So guys, what do you think? Is this finally the end of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
He also
or
tested positive for homosexuality, no?
no. Wait a minute. That came out of nowhere, man. What the fuck? The hell was that, Gonzalo, man? That came out of nowhere, man. All right. Good for you, Gonzalo. That was a good one. He also did it positive. I think it was the blood pressure.
Like the Jim Morrison song. This is the end, my friend.
Do you okay? So that's my question to you guys: is this the end for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., or is he gonna be able to dip into his bag of magic tricks, use the Chavez name to his advantage, and come back for another big payday?
I don't know. I think that son of a legend card is worn thin. You know, I don't know what commission is gonna take this guy seriously. Every day is something new with this kid. Can't keep his piss clean. He's in high heels. Like he's always like giving up on fights, man. It's just it destroyed his earning potential, like his marketing value. I just don't see where or when he's gonna fight. It's just like nobody's really that interested in him anymore.
He's always gonna have these fight cards in Tijuana and Mexicali. I mean, Culiacan in Mexico, and fans are gonna support him just like they do his brother. And like the family is doing pretty well. He's gonna have another son. But anyways, they have a lot of businesses. They have real estate companies that they're part of, that they're shareholders, and car dealerships in some places in California. So it's not like they don't have money. They're doing pretty well for themselves. The father's got rehab centers.
He has a shoe store too, right? He sells shoes, I think.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying.
Wife's shoes,
like I know where you're going with this. Like,
where am I going with it? Tell me, man. You got the magic 8-ball there?
oh man, look. The thing is, like, there's life outside of boxing. It's like he shouldn't have to fight anymore. He's rich. Can live off his daddy's fortune. As a fighter. And he's got businesses. So yeah, do what he has to do what makes himself happy. I don't think that there's like when he's there fighting. When he has to live up to his father's legacy, and it's like it's to him that's kind of depressing, and it's like it's a lot of pressure on this kid. I can imagine.
The main thing that stuck out the most was that he couldn't define his weight for the fight. I mean, he came in at like 174, so he's truly like a light heavyweight. But a light heavyweight, he couldn't perform well even a few years back when he got knocked out. I mean, he did well, but he got knocked out against Andres Fanfara. So, I mean, the guy clearly can't fight at 68 because he's just a big guy. But against the elite guys, he's not really elite level.
It's a great point, man. He's a man lost in limbo. He's not good enough to beat guys his own size. If he goes down, even actually scratch that, even guys smaller than him, he can beat him. I mean, he couldn't beat Canelo, he couldn't beat Martinez. This guy is not. It's not gonna work out with him, and it's amazing, really. If we go back to it, man, it's amazing that this guy was able to swindle. Let's call it what it is. He swindled the boxing community. I remember as far back as 2008, going, you know what? When he was fighting on top rank undercards, I'm thinking, you know what? This guy's not that good, man. He was struggling with that guy from the Midwest, who he had to rematch.
That's right.
In
Matt
order
Vanda.
Yeah, Matt Vanda. Thank you. Yes. Fuck, that's a good memory there, Gonzalo. Matt Vanda. He struggled with the guy, Matt Vanda, who is the king of the Midwest. I think he owns a bunch of laundry stores or something. That's why they call him the king of the Midwest. And he struggled with him. Came back in the rematch. He needed a rematch to beat the guy a little bit more decisively and save face. He also struggled with Brian Vera, who he shouldn't have been struggling with, who was also a smaller guy. Again, he needed another fucking rematch for that one. Then the Fanfara thing where he quits. Then the Jacobs fight where he quits. I mean, at which point does it stop with this guy? That's what I want to know. He was able to swindle people just because of the Chavez Jr. name.
Yeah, and I remember in 2010, around that time, I think Sergio Martinez was Sebastian Zibic's, mandatory, and then HBO shot it down. They really thought, they were going to cash in on this kid's name, and the WBC actually obliged, Turns out this kid wasn't up to snuff. When he fought Martinez for the really.
Well, it just goes to show
they
you.
try to make that. Sorry, they try to make that as similar as they could. Like when his father knocked out Meldrick Taylor. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez got outboxed for 11 rounds, but he had that moment where he almost knocked out guy you're speaking about, the Argentinian guy. Martinez, yeah. So in hindsight, after he lost that fight, they try to like correlate it with his father's victory against Meldrick Taylor in losing.
That was the only thing. That's the only saving grace in that fight. But it just goes to show you how it is possible to take a guy who's mediocre, and if you have HBO or a large network behind him, plus the WBC, plus the legendary name, he did milk boxing for all he was worth. And I'm not saying he was bad, because he did end up beating some good guys. That run he had where he beat Manfredo, Andy Lee, and I forget who else it was, but he had another good win in there. I think Marco Antonio Rubio. He did beat Marco Antonio Rubio. People forget. I was forgetting. And those were the wins that made people think, all right, maybe he is good enough to beat Sergio Martinez. But after that, it all went downhill, man. And still people thought, he needs his one good win and he's going to be back on the fight. I don't think he even deserved the Canelo fight. Yeah, I don't know. I still can't believe that fight even happened. It was a disgrace. By the way, we got Gerald Jones on the StreamYard. Gerald, are you there? Gerald, can you hear me? All right, we can't hear you, man. By the way, is it Gerald or Gerald? Anybody can clarify that for me? Nobody. Can you guys hear me, by the way, or is it just me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm not sure how he pronounced it.
Can you hear me?
Sounds like Gerald.
Johnny Boy, fuck the training. On rifle, you a bitch. You got exposed. I'm Dylan White's word. What happened today? You got exposed.
But I can't. We can't even fucking. They're not even here, man. I don't understand what the problem is. They're not even here.
Yeah,
man. Look at
that. They're in limbo, like Chavez's career.
A little bit, yeah. Now he's gone. All right. Wait a minute. Is Gerald gone? Or?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No, he's still there. Yeah. Jeez, he's still going. Can we, I don't know, talk or something here, H Money, man? No, all right. He doesn't want to talk, so I don't understand what to do here. All right, H Money, we're gonna give you a time to talk. We're gonna give you a chance, but you're gonna have to relax. You're gonna have to calm down. I know you're nervous. You only gotta get nervous here. We're not gonna come in and attack you. So just speak normally, right, H Money? Because yeah, H Money, we need to talk calmly here. Otherwise, it's not gonna work out, man. I don't know. All right. I don't know what to do with this guy. He won't stop. We can't even have a decent conversation. We're not in the Memphis hood. Hold on a second. All right, we got Jackson back, I think. Jackson, are you back here?
Yeah, I had to come back and say something. Just a couple minutes, but this guy's hilarious.
Forget about it. I tried to giving him a talk to speak, but he won't. He doesn't want to have a good conversation. He wants to do. Listen, we're not in the ghetto here, where you can just babble, smoke some crack and just babble on. You got to come in with some logical arguments here, and can't make it work. By the way, Gerald Jones says nothing is working. I can't make it work. I don't know, man. Check your. Usually, if you stick your earphones on your phone, usually the earphones now they got the microphone, so that's all you really need, and just enable that on the StreamYard. But yeah,
BDA,
sorry,
can
Joe.
I mention something?
Yes, please go ahead.
When you were speaking about the Las Vegas clipping in regards to Julio Cesar Chavez's career, him getting suspended, I read an article about Las Vegas, how now they're deciding to keep boxers' purses, not just boxers, the UFC as well, private.
Oh yeah,
the right to reserve their privacy. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's the right thing to do, man. I mean, look, I'm not one of those guys that's the financial boxing guy who I'm always talking about other guys' purses, but I do think it gives some
yeah, you got those guys, right, BDA?
Yeah, and there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that.
But you couldn't be able to keep that private. You would be able to calculate how the purse is split, and I don't think you'd be able to keep that private.
All right. Hold on.
I don't know how they could.
We got H Money back on the line. I want to see if he wants us to have a conversation.
No.
Hold on. I want to give him. I want to see whether he's really crazy or whether he's actually able to. It's all a charade, and he's able to calm down and have a conversation. So, all right, H Money, go ahead. Can we have a conversation, man? H Money, come on, let's go. H Money, you want to talk or you? Come on, let's go, man. Time is money here. You're costing us money. You're costing us money, man. Come on, H Money. See, now he doesn't want to talk. When we don't want to hear him talk, he wants to talk. All right.
What's up, fella?
Oh, I thought it was. Fuck. Now I thought it was H Money. Now it's D Jefferson. D, why don't you come into the? Why didn't you come into the Discord? Why didn't you come into
that's
the?
why I didn't say anything because I thought you had H Money on another phone line or stuff.
You know what? I wouldn't be adverse to having a conversation with the guy, but it's just entertaining to hear him come in here and not let anybody talk. I mean, I'm trying to have a conversation with him. He doesn't want to. And he was using your name, by the way, so that's why I thought it was you. But yeah, how come you didn't use How come you didn't use the Discord to come in?
I just woke up.
All right.
I just woke up and I seen StreamYard in the chat, so I just clicked. I mean, you know, I got both. I got Discord, but I just seen the StreamYard and came in.
Right.
Where do you live, D? Where do you live at?
Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay, because I'm on the East Coast too, so I was like, you must have just taken.
No, I had I've been going through health issues, bro. So sometimes I just all out and shit. You know what I mean?
No, because D, I talked to you on Moonshine's podcast. I like that podcast, and
yeah, Punch Drunk's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's open minded. I love that podcast. It's some good shit.
Moonshine.
Yeah, Punch Drunk Boxing. Check him out, BDA. Good guy.
He's cool.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I'll check it out. But I didn't know it was Moonshine. I thought. Hold on a second. Shout out to Father Dougal McGuire again. Another contribution. He says, "I love Ryan Garcia." Well, who doesn't? That's what I say to that. Shout out to Father Dougal McGuire. Thank you for your contribution. Really appreciate it. All right, guys. We were talking about Gonzalo mentioned that the whole thing that the Nevada State Athletic Commission will no longer be disclosing purses either for those MMA fighters or the boxers. So what do you guys think?
I think that's kind of shady, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it too.
Nevada has always been like in the forefront of shady business, man. I really don't like that. I mean, we as boxing fans need transparency to understand what the fighters are getting. You know, to have an understanding about the shape the business is in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't understand why they would do this, but my guess is like promoters do underhanded things to keep their fair share of the profits.
That's
and
what
especially Dana White, because like to me he has an extensive history of underpaying his fighters, and I think it's about time they pay up, they cough up the money, revenue to the fighters a lot more.
That's something I had not considered, man. That's a very good point right there. By the way, let me see. Gerald, is it working now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Hey, there's never been a problem hearing you. It's obviously the user, which is myself. So,
right.
Thank you for your patience.
No, thank you for being on, man. Thank you. By the way, is it Gerald or Gerald?
Gerald.
Gerald. And we've spoken before, right?
Yeah. So long story short, not that you need my history, but I go by Jay, J-A-Y.
Oh yeah, Jay. Yeah. Now I remember you. Yeah.
Okay. I'm the 954 number.
That's right. Yeah. Very good caller.
Oh, are you from Miami or South Beach?
I was stationed in Opelika and in Key West for the first 6 years of my career in the Coast Guard.
Oh, okay.
Hey, by the way, let's
go. Yeah, I'm in Jacksonville right now, right next to the Mayport Naval Base.
Oh yeah, stay away from the Officers Club.
I've been there.
I have not, but I can tell you this right now. I know there's some place that
I was up in Savannah, close to Jacksonville.
Yeah, there's a military Air Force bases there.
Yeah.
Well, that's impressive. That is impressive. We should hold a party now with all these restrictions that the officials are putting back on. Even though the curve has been flattened, they still want to put more and more impositions on people. So maybe we should hold a party on a boat. Now you're giving me an idea. By the way, let's try
I'm retired.
something.
I have no authority for that.
All right, let's try something. Let's see if it's H Money here or if it's somebody else. H Money, please. Can we have a? I don't know if it's H Money. So if it's H Money, can we have a nice conversation here? Go ahead. AKU or AKA H Money.
Salute to the mighty LDBC.
Oh, it's not fucking H Money. All right, how you doing, AQ? Have we spoken before? Or have you called into the show before, or is this the first time on?
No, I've called before.
All right. So we got a whole new panel here for today. Thank you for joining us, guys. We're talking about the purses being disclosed, or no longer being disclosed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. If Virtuoso made that very good point. Very good point about maybe it's a way to control the paydays. Because now we're seeing a lot of shenanigans going on because of the fact that certain fighters don't want to take pay cuts. Terrence Crawford was in the news saying, hey, it's in my contract. I don't want to get paid a penny less. Garcia's complaining about it. Demetrius Andrade has been complaining about the reduction in purses planned for this boxing resurgence. What do you guys think? Yeah. Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, no, I was saying something to someone in the house. I know that back in the day, Ring Magazine used to post the purses that everybody used to make in the back of the section when they were giving the fight breakdowns. And then later, BoxRec used to put that on there. The purpose of not telling anybody anymore, I not a clue. I have no idea what the purpose in that is or who it benefits or who it hurts. I know for up-and-coming fighters, it couldn't hurt to not tell them because they should want to be great before they want to be rich. I'm referring to the amateurs when I say that they want to be pros. When I used to work with them, a lot of times they would say, I want to be like Oscar De La Hoya, I want to be like Floyd Mayweather, I want to be like Mike Tyson because I want to be rich. They never once said they wanted to be great. And, well, the ones who usually chase the money first before they chase the greatness don't get very far.
Yeah, that's a fact. Let me ask you something, BDA. Are they just not disclosing it to the fans, correct? I mean,
well, I'm sure the fighter knows how much he's making, but yeah, I imagine the public's not getting the knowledge.
I don't really have too much problem with that, man. I'll tell you why I say that. Long as the fighters and their managers know what the purses are, I don't really have a problem with like us not knowing what their purses are because they don't know the ins and outs of the deals, the contracts, and all of that.
Right.
So fans make all of these freaking crazy ass assessments, not knowing.
They make these assumptions, yeah.
All right. So I mean, that just kind of kills the confusion. People always want to know, like, well, why can't we know? Well, why the fuck do you need to know? All you really need to know is who's fighting. We really don't need to know the purses.
No, we don't. And some of the debates I get into, a lot of people try to get into, well, especially in the modern times with Mayweather fans, oh, but he made this much money. He made this much money. Right. It doesn't matter how much money he made. The fact is that he won. But, I mean, he made far more money than Willie Pep. And it has absolutely nothing to do with greatness on how much money he made in the modern time with technology. You know, you got to factor that in consideration. And money, Willie Pep and Jack Johnson are two perfect examples that money doesn't mean greatness.
Let me the name right here because they are prize fighters. So you have these little supply and demand to deter. You're going to figure out what their purse is regardless just by how big the fight is, how big the gate is. You'll be able to mathematically determine what their purse is. So it doesn't really disclose anything unless there's some back room deals. So you'll pretty much know what the purse is because I have a little bit of a financial background, and that just makes no sense if you're a public athlete and in the sport of prize fighting. Your purse is always going to be disclosed unless you're doing something shady like throwing a fight or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me unless you're in a monopoly like Dana White's UFC where you can do whatever you want or pay somebody however they want.
Yeah, but Jackson, just because I like how you said, "Oh, I used to be in the business industry." Just because you played the numbers on the streets doesn't mean you were in the business industry, right? You weren't fucking Donald Trump in there, right? So you might want to dial it down a little bit.
I'm Don King.
Yeah, you're Don King. Yeah, you were curb stomping people.
Yeah, but even still, okay, I get your point. But even still, it's not going to help. Like if somebody's doing something backhanded, and if there's an investigation, it still don't help. Just letting us know what the fighters know. I mean, the investigation is going to be the investigation without the public having to know the number. Like again, people are just mad because information is being snatched from them. But it's irrelevant information to us watching the sport, to us enjoying the fights, to us getting champions. It's irrelevant information. It's information the public just really don't need. People are just mad because they're not getting it. They want to know.
And there's a little something that Jackson said that I have a counterpoint to that, and I'm not defending Dana White much because I don't like to do that, and I'm not a UFC fan. But one person being in control has a plus and a minus. We've seen the minuses from the way Don King used to do business when he pretty much controlled the sport. But the big thing about that is that you can control the purses to the point to where the fighters can't hold out for, I'm not getting paid enough for this or not getting paid enough for that, so I'm not going to fight this guy until you do what I want you to do. Yeah. So in which case, the fighters, the fans, which is how the business is even alive in the first place, is the fans still get to see what they want. Now, I'm all for a person getting as much as they need to be able to live and survive after it's all over. Because let's face it, no one's calling Terry Norris's name right now, if I'm correct, and he was a hell of a fighter. But at the same time, there are only
the numbers get leaked out. Like the number, like look at the UFC fight. Like look at the UFC fight. A boxing reporter leaked that out. So I mean, the numbers they'll get leaked out.
Yeah. Be patient. Be patient. The information will come out, and like the gentleman said, it's useless information.
Well, here's what I'm reading here from the article. It says Section 7 clarifies that any information submitted to the commission be deemed confidential. The purpose and intent of this request is similar to the intent and language under the Nevada Gaming Control Board. So it makes me think if this is going to remain confidential only with the commission, that means other fighters are not going to be privy to what another fighter is making, and therefore they're not going to be asking for much more than they're worth, like we're seeing right now with King of the Twinks, Ryan Garcia. So ultimately, is this a good thing or a bad thing for boxing fans?
For fans, I don't think it matters.
I think you nailed it, BDA, because Deontay Wilder, remember, he was like, I don't want to fight AJ because they're offering me $120 million, but I don't know what he's making. So that screwed that whole fight up. So you make that so it kind of conflicts it. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, bro.
It's not bad, but the only thing I have to say about that
Deontay Wilder
the name of
didn't want
the
to
game
fight that motherfucker anyway. So it didn't have nothing to do with it. That was just another excuse amongst many of why they weren't going to take that fight.
Yeah,
well,
maybe, man.
The lion's share of the purse that they didn't at the time totally deserve, seeing that Joshua held 2/3 to 3/4 of the heavyweight division at the time. He was the bigger world-round star. He was going to be the bigger name and the bigger attractions, the money coming into the fight, depending on where it was held. And for some reason, Deontay Wilder, due to TV revenue and the number of wins he had against limited competition, thought that he was just as big a star, and that just wasn't the truth.
No, the only thing he was a big fucking idiot. Right.
All right, hold on. Gonzalo wants to say something. Yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's for boxing. It's called prize fighting. It's the top of the echelon, and we want to know what the prize is, right? We want to know what the prize is because it's sort of got a glamour to it. What people are paying these highly skilled fighters that are at the top of their game, it's the prize. We want to see that.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and if we're not interested in knowing what a fighter's purse is worth, then we wouldn't go out of our way to find out what exactly they're getting paid. It's a matter of choice. It's just like, I think this is just like an extra step of just like hiding, just covering their bases.
Maybe, man. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but it's interesting. On the one hand, I don't think any of us are comfortable with something being hidden, something that used to be available now suddenly being hidden. But at the same time, hey, maybe there's a silver lining to all of this. I don't know. But it is interesting to see how these fighters were always complaining about money in public. Like Ryan Garcia kicking his fucking promoter to the curb. De La Hoya saying he sucks, he's a tranny. Well, he didn't actually say that, but he might as well have with everything he said about De La Hoya. And I'm thinking, we're seeing the MMA community getting better fights now than boxing. Meanwhile, boxing, I've read articles on Bloody Elbow on boxing scene about how the ratings stink. This isn't good for boxing. I mean, what's going on, guys? And other YouTubers too have been making videos about how is boxing dead, blah blah blah. I mean, we get one of those every 2 years or every year. But what do you guys think? Is boxing in a bad place right now? Can it come back?
Yeah, it's in the worst place it's ever been.
Hold on. We got eight.
Who said that? Who said that? We have the worst.
I said that.
Who said that?
I did. AKU.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. No boxing is not in the worst spot it's ever been. So let's get this out here in the open first and foremost. Boxing has been much worse. Much worse off.
All right,
okay?
tell me, when has boxing been worse than right now?
Okay.
Hold
on. Okay, young fella. Because you say you're 28. I don't know if you know when the IBF had to step in to save boxing, because at the time it was only the WBC and the WBA. They were the two recognized belts, the only two recognized belts. Well, they damn near put boxing out of business, period. Because of all the corruption and the nonsense going on, people were absolutely disgusted. And the IBF had to step in and save the day. So I think at that point in time, boxing was in a much worse state. The problem is now is just simply the fans and how they're going to figure out how to deal with this pandemic.
Hey, so now, specifically, what year? What year were you talking about this? About this idea?
Dude, if I'm gonna give you a history lesson, do me a favor. What you do is just go read up when the
okay, yeah, you don't know
the whole history of it, and then you'll get the whole program. Okay.
I would agree with D and say it was probably the early 80s, because around that time
83 is when
because hold on, let me just bring you up to speed a bit. Right around that time, Bob Arum bribed WBA officials so that his fighters could get higher rankings, get a shortcut to the belts. And at that time, they also had 15-round fights. And what happened? Dukul Kim was killed, literally killed by Ray Boo Boo Mancini. It's like it brings the question, like, why did it took so long to stop a fight? It could have ended, like the referees, could have ended it, but like at that time, fighters were given way too much, leniency to really unleash punishment on their opponents. So yeah,
I think that's right around the time, Virtuoso, that the 15-round fights ended as well, I believe.
Yeah, it was right on the time, but it took like at least 8 years,
Well, for the record, the IBF was the last entity to have a 15-round fight, and I think it was Pius versus Calvin Grove.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still had super huge fights during every year of the 80s. This is going to be one of the only years, besides Wilder and Fury, which happened in February. Probably not even going to get a big fight this year. There's a strong possibility Loma and Teal gets games.
That's because of the coronavirus. All sports are doing bad, but just to say that boxing is doing worse, and I actually think. Let me just say something. Let me just say something. And I'll be real fast. And I think boxing could actually do better than other sports because, like, for example, in team sports, you have to bring the whole team back. All right, and in boxing, all you gotta do is get your ass up in the ring, get a few fighters individually to perform, where it's not as contagious, as widespread as you have a team playing. In boxing, it's only two guys, right? And you could take it upon yourself to fight, whereas like one player in the soccer team wants to play, but the management and the whole players as a whole are not playing, you can't play because it's not an individual sport. In boxing, it is individual.
And I'll say this: it wasn't okay. It was not too long ago, like I would say 3 years ago, like 2017, was sort of a boxing renaissance. You saw a lot of big fights being made, and that was because they were responding to what the numbers that UFC was doing in 2016, the year before. So I think it's important for them, to understand that, look, even though there's the sport is fragmented, and the American boxing scene as far as fans, is divided, they have to take a collaborative effort to really make these things happen. And it's like it can happen again for sure.
No, boxing is more worldwide now.
No, there was
we got fighters from many countries now.
Yo, you guys forget this. It was really bad before the virus. Like we were getting Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas as the biggest fight scheduled before the virus. This virus just fucked everything up. They just made the problems like 20 times more. They just exacerbated the problems.
Well,
now
first of all, it was a year.
Hold on, man.
All right.
We at the end of 2019 and going into this year, and if you look at the fights that were scheduled, no, bro, we were actually looking good.
Yeah,
Boxing
it was going to be a great year. 2019 was a great year.
Came and fucked all of that up.
Look, we had boxing upon boxing, weekend upon weekend. Remember the Golovkin fight, the Sean Porter, all those great fights back to back.
We had trash fights
in the last quarter.
We had trash fights in 20. No, I'm talking about 2020.
Okay, but let me say something. Let me say something about that. Let me say something. Yeah, the Corona, like Gonzalo and D. Jefferson said, Corona fucked everything up. First of all, and that's a year. That's what, a couple of months in the year. An era is not a year. An era would have to be something like the World War II era, where guys like Joe Louis had to drop their belt, or actually didn't drop it, but they had to go in limbo, take a layoff, and go to war. World War I, too. Which boxer was it that was supposed to go into the army? He told everybody he enlisted, and it wasn't true. Anyway, these things happen. That I think so. Yeah, those things happen.
And then he later joined the Coast Guard for World War II.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thanks, man. But again, to say that this is a bad era or that it was going to be a bad era, I don't think so, man. I think that's an over-exaggeration.
No, I didn't say era. I said year. I said this was one of the worst years.
Well,
it was a good year.
But you can say it was gonna be a good year. They had announced a bunch of good fights. I mean, Lomachenko versus Lopez was supposed to take place in the summer. Canelo was supposed to fight in the summer. I forget who else was gonna fight, but there were gonna be some good fights.
There was fights coming. I mean, you had the noise situation going on. Josh Taylor and those guys was getting ready to bang. It was a lot of fights coming, bro. Corona killed. Like, we had a lot of stuff. You talking four belt?
We say that every year. Bud was supposed to. AJ Wilder. AJ was supposed to fight Wilder.
AKU. He's talking about fights that were already set. Ramirez Postal. Josh Taylor was gonna. Ramirez, I'm telling you. Hold on. Stop interrupting, please. Ramirez Postal, Inoue Casimero. Canelo was gonna fight too in the summer. What was the other fight I mentioned? There was another fight I mentioned, but there was 3-4 good fights in the pipeline, and then all of a sudden, boom, wiped out because of the officials. Not the virus itself, by the way. People like to blame the virus. It wasn't the virus. It was the officials decided, ooh, this thing's too scary. Let's shut everything off. But boxing was looking good, man. It was looking pretty delicious. And then all of a sudden, bang, everything gets put on hold. Now the UFC, they're doing pretty well right now because they get a monopoly and they can do what they want. Boxing, you got guys like Crawford complaining, like I said before, Andrade. So, but anyway, listen, we're getting hung up on this whole boxing had the worst year, which has been debunked now by the BDA debunking team. But the point is, the point is, hopefully everything comes back to normal soon. People need to make a stand and say, look, enough is enough. The curve has been flattened. What the fuck more do you want?
Yes.
Then we get this
BDA,
whole.
Can I say something?
Yes, please. Yes.
Hey, BDA.
And didn't this
Gonzalo? I want. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Didn't what's his name? Espinosa, the guy from Showtime, make a comment that there is too much boxing? And look, there was like all these companies that came out, the Zone, which lost momentum because of the coronavirus. But we had these rival platforms competing for dates, and we were getting boxing like mostly like every weekend. Like for example, like last year, that's the way it was going down. But yeah, that's all I want.
So let me say this because I follow and cover the UFC a little as well. Before we start jumping on Dana White's balls, people need to understand there's a whole lot of turmoil going over there too. It's going on over there too. See, at the end of the day, like, you gotta have star power. Now, when you look at Dana White, that's an issue that the UFC is having. To stay
But you're breaking
star
up there.
power. Boxing, we got arguing to be the face of boxing, but they both mega stars. So boxing is going to have stars. Dana White has a problem stabilizing that situation because he's terrible. He's terrible in the way he pays these athletes, the shit that he does to these. So it's not all peaches and cream on the other side. And people keep saying, "Oh, UFC is taking over," not understanding that boxing is a global sport and all of this. It's not peaches and cream on the other side. Right now, Dana White has the advantage only again because of the coronavirus. Yes, he was gaining on boxing, but like I said, with all the fights we had scheduled and all of that, listen, man, you got Conor McGregor, not sure if he want to fight. John Jones is another big star, not sure if he wants to fight, contemplating walking away.
Yeah, too busy running into
contemplating walking away. So
John Jones is too
star
busy.
just got his ass whooped in Masvidal. He just got beaten. So I'm telling you, bro, it's not peaches and cream over at the UFC either. We don't need to think that everything is great over there.
It's going 10 times
I mean,
better
it's problems.
Yes, who wanted to go?
Flip side to everything from the fans' perspective. There's another streaming site I listen to called The Boxing Rant. And when Shakur Stevens' fight was announced, they made a very valid point that it wasn't against someone that everybody was like, ooh, it wasn't even a title defense. And, maybe it was from the long layoff, but then when they said more to it, they didn't give a reason why it was going to be at 130.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people were kind of like, really, this is the guy you're going to fight? The response from the managers, promoters, and everybody else was, you should be glad you even have boxing. Boxing is a treasure, and don't get me wrong, but it's not something that we should just get on our knees and say, oh, thank you, you brought it back. Give us some quality.
Right.
Absolutely. Real quick.
That's just the thing. Sometimes I hear people say the comparison between the two sports, boxing and UFC. Man, if you like UFC so much and say that it's so much better, those people just need to stick to UFC and stop comparing because obviously they like it so much that they want to compare it to boxing.
Well, hold on.
It's all right.
Before we get to
that's
that,
your cup of tea.
Okay. Before we get to that, shout out to Father Finton Stack, another contribution, and he says up the Ra. Again, he's I don't even think the IRA still exists, so I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But hey, listen, Father Finton, thank you for your contribution. Really appreciate it, man. All right, but you know what, Gonzalo, to a counterpoint to that, I think you can criticize boxing and be a UFC fan. That doesn't mean you prefer UFC over MMA over boxing. But at this point, whether you want to say that boxing is doing better than MMA or UFC, to be more specific, it's no. The UFC, they have a monopoly. They're more flexible with their fighters. They can pay them peanuts compared to what some of these boxers want. Which again, the fact that some of these boxers got overpaid for a long time now, it just goes to show you how it's been hurting us. Because now these guys still want to get paid millions for fighting lower level opposition. But like D. Jefferson said, the UFC is also having their own problems. John Jones is too busy running into pregnant women in the streets. Masvidal just lost. Fucking Cain Velasquez, who was supposed to be the next Mexican hope, he got. By the way, who's got birds out there in the background?
That's me.
All right. Yeah, I thought you were in the forest sending signals or something.
No, I'm in the backyard, and I have a wetland in my backyard, and you can hear the birds because.
Oh, that's nice. That's
nice.
Mute
unless you're talking, fam. So because you can't
hear. Me. Hang on, I'll do it right now.
Yeah, please. But anyway, yeah, that's my point.
That actually sounded kind of pleasurable, though. The birds in the background.
yeah, it sounded kind of pleasant. Just need a little Keith Jarrett playing in the background, and we're all good. All right, listen. No, but yeah, listen. Look, at this point, the UFC is doing.
myself though, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, how can you criticize boxing if like MMA? Why don't you watch MMA?" This is the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. The reason why you criticize boxing is because you love the sport. You want it to do better. You don't want to see guy you kind of know versus guy you never heard of, and then have that person get pulled out because of the virus. You don't want to see that. So you want to see names versus names. And like he even said, this sport only needs a couple of people. This is one of the easiest sports to get back to a regular schedule, but you see that it's not happening because of the fraction of the boxing promoters, of the fighters getting overpaid. You see all that combining into a big old shithole, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, boxing right now, it's not doing good because of these fighters, man. The chickens have come home to roost with these overpaid fighters, and they want to keep getting paid the same money for fighting lower opposition under these very, very, very strenuous circumstances. But hey, listen, I don't want to turn this into an MMA versus boxing fight because there is no fight. I don't even know why. The only reason is people make it into a fight, like, oh, I prefer MMA over boxing or blah blah blah. It's like, listen, you can watch both sports. By the way, we got Jimmy on the line. Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you, kid?
Good, good. It's been a long time since I've talked to you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I haven't talked to you in a while, bro. It's been a minute, huh? Shit.
Yeah,
Probably
man.
A month, just walking around, fucking chewing on some COVID. No big deal. Fuck that. I got that shit beat.
Yeah, man.
Shout out, Jimmy.
What's going on, brother?
Listen, man, we're talking about right now about the chickens coming home to roost with these fighters. Ryan Garcia is complaining about his pay. He doesn't want to take a pay cut. Same thing with Demetrius Andrade. Canelo wants to keep fighting lower level opposition if they can find it, but he wants to get paid a shitload too. Terence Crawford too says, hey, look, it's in my contract. I got to get paid this set amount and I'm going to take a penny less. What do you think? Has this been something that's been coming, that's been coming for the past 35 years with these mega purses that some of these fighters get?
Of course. It's exactly what happened. I mean, it's just they've been paid to fight soft touches. I don't, for so long. The PBC is just a fucking disaster right now because has Showtime even talked about coming back yet? I mean, did they have any scheduling? I haven't really checked in a week or so, but last I checked, I didn't see any scheduling. I'm not even sure if they're still going to be doing boxing. I know Fox cut some money. Money's tight right now and shit. And listen, I can understand, like, they're not going to get, either you're just going to have to be straight up. I'm not fighting again until they open up the stadiums. In the meantime, the only people they're hurting in the long run is themselves. You know what I mean? Like, when you're 28, you think you're going to be 28 forever. You know what I mean? You're going to be a young man forever. You don't realize, dude, you wake up, you fucking close your eyes one day, you wake up, holy shit, I'm fucking 40. What the fuck happened? And it goes by, and these guys are just blowing opportunities. Listen, Ryan Garcia, that was the problem. He became famous before he became good. You know what I mean? Like, he was an Instagram twink boy. Literally, more like, seriously, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, 75% of the motherfuckers, if you went to his follower list and just went down it, oh my God, it was fucking who's who of predators. Fucking skinners and chicken hawks. You know what I mean?
But Jimmy, can I say something? But he was a decent amateur.
I'm talking about his mindset. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, he was already kind of famous in his own world. Like, so he already knew, like, popularity before he became popular in his chosen sport. So I'm not even really talking about his abilities. I'm talking about more like, you know what I'm saying? It's like he was already Instagram famous.
Prima donna syndrome, man. A lot of these fucking American athletes have it. They famous before they're rich in their head before they're famous, and it has a lot to do with the endorsers and people just throwing money their way. That's the thing with the UFC.
But I think Garcia is genuinely more famous.
Yeah, but Gonzalo, the thing is that when you don't have the money,
cases.
it keeps you hungry. It keeps you hungry. So when you get this money thrown at you, these kids lose hunger, lose the desire to achieve.
Yeah, but D Jefferson, look, Ryan Garcia is more appealing to a lot of people than a Tank Davis and maybe than a Devin Haney. I don't know about Shakur Stevenson, but he genuinely has more fan appeal. Like, he's really more of a star than these guys outside of boxing.
I don't agree with that. Ryan Garcia is a star to a bunch of 16-year-old fucking girls, bro. Like, people gotta understand his fan base. That's
what I'm referring to. I said outside of boxing.
Gonzalo, hear me out. 16-year-old fucking girls do not equate to boxing fans or anything else. And even outside of boxing, it's started.
No, hold on.
I said appeal, and people are turning heads to see who this guy is. Whether it's little girls, older people, boxing fans. He's created a real
Gonzalo, that he has all of this like super appeal. I think that's what his problem is too. Like, look, I don't know.
You can't buy that. You can't buy appeal. If you got it, you got it.
Yeah, okay. I just don't. I don't. I think that that's part of the problem. I don't think that his appeal is as much as he believes it is, and damn sure don't bring the value that he believes it does. Because, like I said, having 2 million 16-year-old girls follow you does not equate to ticket sales and asses in the seats or pay per view. And Ryan got to understand that.
Well, Golden Boy bent over earlier too early for him. Like when he pulled that first shit, Golden Boy should have put the smackdown on him. But the problem is, this is what happens when you're negotiating from the fucking position of weakness. Garcia knew that Golden Boy's like, listen, what do you have? You have Canelo, who's the biggest name, but in between you got nothing. You got me. Well, they also have Ortiz, which I think is the fucking dark horse and all this, but in between that, so Garcia was like, fuck it. Plus, he's hanging around having Canelo's people. You got to remember right now, I guess, Canelo and Golden Boy, I mean, there's no love lost there at all anymore. I guess it's like not even on speaking terms when they're in the same room. So there's a lot of problems there, and that's who he hangs around with. So there's a lot of disdain and distrust for Oscar. And if I didn't think they were under contract, I think they would actually bounce. But I don't know. Didn't Garcia just resign? Didn't he sign up for a couple more years after they caved into him?
Yeah,
but I just know, yeah, exactly. So it's just never good though when you have a fighter, when you cave into somebody who signed a contract. Like this should have been you should have said, hey, listen, you're gonna fight one more time, but you can't. But when Golden Boy caved in and said, okay, we'll forget about your contract, it opens the door. You know what I mean? You just like, oh, you already did that. Let me do this. But I don't know. It's a mess. But the thing is, listen. This is the danger. This is the time of the fucking internet, right? News cycles, boom, boom, gone today, here, you know what I mean? Nothing holds attention. They're already saying that NFL is going to take a huge hit. People are finding more and more things to do. As it is, boxing, I'll tell you, boxing, they better not fuck around, man. They don't fuck around too long, man. They're going to find themselves without, like, once, say the zone drops it, they file out. They say, no money in the forest. They bounce. Then Showtime, yeah, no, we're not doing it. What the fuck? There's no more HBO, no more Showtime. It's going to be ESPN. I think Eddie Hearn kind of sees the writing on the wall because the comments he's made recently that he's the man to take over boxing and run the whole show.
Yeah, he's foolish though. That you can forget about that.
But you know what I'm saying? I think he's seeing that it's just a lot of shit. Like the PBC, how are these guys paying their how are these fighters surviving? Not the guys like the top end echelon guys who made 2-3 million. Like there's nobody fighting. There's nothing on the schedule there.
That's right, Jimmy. That's right.
Shame, you know.
I just think these fighters have to adapt to the new reality that Corona is still very much alive, and it's like these fans are gonna have to wait their turn till everything clears up. And
we're just gonna need pay-per-view. We're just gonna need pay-per-views. That's just
and our perception is like, shouldn't these promoters should make these big fights in order to get the fans to purchase the fights, to keep the business thriving. You're gonna take a pay cut because of the live gate isn't gonna be much of anything, but you're not gonna get any better sitting on your ass. You have to stay active.
In fact, you're gonna get worse. You know what I mean? You'll get worse. This game is more than anything depends on timing and everything. It's all about fighting. I don't know how these guys can fight once or twice a year as it is.
Yeah, because
I truly am kind of sad for like Golovkin and Pacquiao because they're getting older, and I would have liked to see Pacquiao in the best version as the older man that he is. But if you keep taking precious time away from him, that Pacquiao might not show up for his last hoorah.
By the way, AKU wanted to say something. AKU, go ahead, man.
Yeah, what I want to say was boxing is mostly just about one night. The promoters just care about that one night. And how you get more interest in the pay-per-view for that big fight is you have other boxing cards, good fights build up on that interest. Like the UFC would have their ESPN fight nights before the pay-per-view. So you need other boxing promoters putting good shows to rile up interest. Well, how are they going to do that when you got Top Rank putting X versus X, guys we don't really know. So it's a mess right now, fortunately.
You know what? Let me start off with this. D. Let's say you got a Saturday off, right? And there's a pay-per-view on. Right now, under these circumstances, what type of pay-per-view would you be willing to pay for, and what type of pay-per-view would you not be willing to pay for? Let's say they got 5 card undercard. There's 5 fights in the undercard, I should say. How many of them have to be top class for you to say, you know what, absolutely, I'm buying that?
So, it's a big name.
I need 3.
But it can no longer be like it was before, where they give you the main event, semi-passable fight on as the second main event, as they call it now, the co-main event, and then just a bunch of prospects rolling through tomato cans. That's not gonna fly anymore. You're saying, right?
No. I mean, like that's the element that they have to improve on, man. Seriously, because you can't. Okay, here's the thing. Even though a lot of boxing fans don't like to see guys rolling around on the ground or toe stomping like Usman just did, at the same time, they're getting picked off with seeing these worthless fights. Like we don't have boxing, and then you guys are putting on these cards of worthless fights. So our fans don't want that anymore either. So you're gonna have to figure something out. The bullshit cards that they're giving us, that's not gonna cut it.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point. By the way, Rob Plant in the chat room says, my standards haven't changed for pay-per-view because I've had an IPTV subscription for the past 6 years. so we got somebody circumventing the system. Somebody cut the cord, and they don't got to pay for pay-per-views. But I mean, realistically, I think IPTV boxes are still relatively obscure. I mean, how many people here know about what an IPTV box is?
I don't
even know what the hell that is. Some British? Is that some British stuff?
Well, wait, hold on, Jimmy. You know what an IPTV box is?
Isn't that the? I thought it was the British, right? Like the dude just said, isn't that that British fucking?
No. It's essentially.
No, I have no idea.
Essentially, since you can't pirate cable anymore because they made it super difficult with the once it went digital. Satellite, I think it's also become very difficult. So now what people are doing is they're streaming TV online, and there's all these bunch of, most of them for some reason here in Canada, they're Arabs. I don't know why, but all these Arabs, they sell you a program or a subscription where you can get essentially all the channels in the world for a reduced fee. Now, obviously, you don't get the technical support that you would get at Dish TV or at Star, and if something goes wrong, you're fucked, and the quality is not as HD pristine as satellite TV, but it's pretty fucking close. I had a friend who had it, and we actually watched a fight in there on it, and I said, you know what, it was lagging every 20 minutes, but other than that, it was pretty good. So again, we go back to the economics of this. Most people were tired of paying for shit fights, because I mean, you would get 2-3 good fights, and then all of a sudden one shit fight here, one shit fight there. And if you're overcharging people, like some of these cable companies, I mean, Recognize the Matrix used to come here and tell us he was paying almost, I think, how much was he paying? Almost $200, I think, for cable. And I think that included the internet or something. But I mean, it was insane. So I think people have had it, man. If you don't give people a reasonable price, they're gonna pirate it.
Oh, I pay over $200 a month for everything for cable, but that's with the internet. Yeah.
How many channels do you have?
Oh, I got pretty much all of them, I think. But I still have to pay.
How many adult channels do you have?
They're there, but dude, they're there, but they're fucking soft porn, dude. You know what I mean? Like I can't, like it's no penetration. And next, you see a dude fucking hanging soft, just slapping against her flippers.
They still have soft porn.
Fake. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all that fake shit now, man. If I want to sit and watch the time to fucking watch some porn, I want some nasty shit. But no, they need to fucking price that shit accordingly. If you can only have Teofimo fight Lomachenko, make it $50. Just make it an opening in them and charge $50 or $44 or something. Make it reasonable,
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's $80, $90 it just it ain't worth it, man. You ain't gonna you just gotta knock the price down.
Yeah.
Also, Jimmy, I believe that
the average price is like $65. And they made like 1.3 million buys this past weekend.
Hold on, because you guys were talking over each other. You're saying the UFC did 1.83 mil?
1.3 million buys.
Pretty good numbers, man, for a fight. And see, that fight, they made it at the last minute because Masvidal decided, hey, pay me what I want, and I go in there, and he did. Meanwhile, the boxers are bickering about, hey, I don't want to fight a B- level guy for 200 grand. I want more. I'm thinking, come on, dude. So you're looking bad. And then I don't know if you guys saw the controversy too a couple of weeks ago, where Michelle Joy Phelps, Radio Rahim, Coogan, the guy from England, I think, and Villegas, I think it's Villegas or whatever, however you say his name from Fight Hub.
Marcos Villegas.
Marcos Villegas, yes, thank you. He looks like a guy that sells bootleg DVDs in the flea market that I go to. But anyway, they were complaining. Radio Rahim and Joy Phelps particularly were complaining about, right now we're in trouble because there's nothing going on and blah, blah, blah. And people took that the wrong way because they're saying, hey, there's people out there that are hurting more than you financially, and you're complaining about being sidelined as a boxing journalist. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
Well, they're the same thing for them. They're not getting paid either. So their job is boxing, covering boxing. So it kind of goes for them too.
Yeah, but the way they were complaining about it is what rubbed some people the wrong way.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Julius, from Ring IQ about this several weeks ago, and it's like, yeah, these guys don't work for a media company. They kind of like the way boxing media is kind of like what do you call it? A cottage industry. People do it from their own home, man, and it's like these people get paid by online publications, and like they're complaining about it now that there's a pandemic. It's like either you got a side hustle or you're just gonna starve to death. You gotta find another revenue stream. Just think of be creative with your time.
And it makes me think of wonder how many of these people really enjoy boxing. Because I mean, if their job is just, hey, let me interview fighters and that's it, like you can't maybe, I don't know, make a video, interview fighters online, which is what some people are doing, or come up with something else. Because for them, it seemed like that the hustle was just that, like, oh, let me ask this fighter, how you feeling? What do you think about this guy who said this about you on the internet? I mean, I don't want to disparage their job, but it seems like once that got taken away from them, it was over.
Well, they came off as really bitter and jealous.
Hold on, guys, hold on, one at a time. D. Jefferson, go ahead, then Gonzalo will go.
Yeah. It just seems like to me they're just lazy fucks.
Oh,
just crying, and all they need to do is get up off their ass and make something else happen. Now, look, guys, really, because we have our channels and stuff, right? And we know that they're in there, they're on the inside with the boxers and everything else, but we still get on here every day. We post our videos, we do our thing. They already have a fan base bigger than we have. So stop fucking crying. Get your ass on YouTube, make videos, stop fucking being lazy. It's just that simple. See, they used to having it easy. They go, well, we paid our dues, well, we worked our way up. Well, guess what? You got to get back to work. So shut the fuck up and get back to work. Like, I don't even want to hear their complaints.
Whoa. I'll defend Michelle Joy Phelps.
Oh, fuck her.
Yeah.
fuck her.
I was going to say, are you done, D?
Yeah, I'm done.
I was going to say, okay, I was just going to mention this. I think, they started from the bottom and they blew up, and they feel, especially Michelle Joy Phelps was mentioning, that they've helped these promoters promote their brand so much that they've helped the companies become big in their eyes, that they deserve a little kickback because, they've invested themselves into the product, that the product means more because of them. That's basically what she was saying. That she helped the brand so much.
But I mean, you gotta give him some credit, man. They do grind. I mean, that's how they got there. I mean, they're the ones flying, doing all that stuff, and getting all those interviews, getting yelled at by Wilder.
Yeah,
but just like them, there's many in line. If they didn't get that opportunity, somebody else would have. And the fact that they got the opportunity and they were able to get many subscribers and in some cases, I'm not gonna say millions, but hundreds of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of views, that they've already done really well, because the other guy next in line didn't get the opportunity because, yes, they hustled. But just like them, they can be replaced real easily. So for them to say, oh, we deserve part of the company, and essentially, because we want you guys to support us, is kind of not like the way it's supposed to be, because they're replaceable.
Jimmy.
Phelps can always fucking headline at Mr. C's. I'll stuff a couple of fucking big heads in her panties.
Oh, wait a minute. You guys got to remember.
Man.
We're supposed to respect women around here. Come on, you know that. This is the BDA Boxing Debate Arena.
No, that's why I said a big head, not a dollar. I'll pay her well.
And by the way,
but you better get that brown eye winking.
Gonzalo, you were watching Michelle Joy Phelps on her stream, right? And complimenting her last time she was on.
Yeah.
So there you
and
go.
The
so,
way she was wearing that makeup, she was kind of reminded me of J-Lo.
Oh yeah. She looks like J-Lo. That's a fact.
Hey, this is we got Gonzalo audio of Gonzalo watching Michelle Joy Phelps on stream here. Damn, Gonzalo, what the fuck were you doing, man?
Did you shoot his load?
Did you drop your hot coffee on your lap, or what happened?
Ah, shit.
All right.
Couple more injections, a couple more times on the knife. That bitch won't be able to smile. She's got so much fucking work done on her face. Now she's had a lot of work done on her face. Bitch, almost 40 years old, man. She ain't got a wrinkle to be found.
No, come on, this.
That's okay, but she got thick ass though. I'm telling you, man. She got a pretty nice caca maker. So as long as she keeps that in fucking Eddie Hearn's face, she'll have work. Come on, remember when she first started, dude? Remember when she first started? Oh, you want me to put on these hand thingies? Yeah, they're called wraps. They're big tits. It was unbelievable, man. She was pushing. She did what she had to do. She sold that TNA, and she did what she had to do. You know, I don't knock her. She's fucking putting bread on the table. But if she thinks Bob Arum's gonna fucking pay her, you know what he's gonna say is, bitch, I'll wait 5 years from now when you look like the bag lady down the street. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? It's seriously, it's like, really, you want a piece of my action? You fucking.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jimmy on this, man. They kind of outliving their usefulness, man. And these guys don't really guys ask like the real like tough questions to the boxers. They're more like saying like asking fluff questions. So if they're not informing the fans about what's going on with the fighters, you know, trying to get them in touch with them, then you know it's not really useful.
Well, you know what? I will say this, man.
They got some legendary interviews.
Yeah, they have some good interviews, but that's a job. That's a job that I would hate to have because there's no use to interviewing guys in the build up to their fights because every time you ask them how you feeling, they're not gonna tell you, oh fuck, I have a cold, I busted my knuckle during sparring, and I don't feel that well, I'm having second doubts about making weight. They're not gonna tell you. They're always gonna tell you, I'm at the best training camp of my life, I feel great, but everything's gonna happen, I'm gonna beat this guy. And that you can't ask him anything technical. You can't ask him, hey, how are you gonna win? What do you think about your opponent? They always say the same thing. These guys are dehydrated, they're in a bad mood, they don't want to answer your questions. So there's not much to glean from fighters to the build up to a fight. Now, like Aku said, some of the best interviews actually come when the fighters are somewhat inebriated and in a casual environment during fights, and that's when they'll be a little bit more honest. But other than that, it's always the same thing with fighters most of the time during the build up to a fight.
Inebriated. So what you're saying is that Michelle Joy Phelps should like slip a Mickey on Deontay Wilder or Lomachenko just to get an answer from them, right?
That's not what I said, but hey, it's an idea. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but it's an idea.
Again, man. You're gonna. That's why Wilder lost.
Yeah, that's right. That's another conspiracy, right? Gonzalo, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, Marcos Villegas was slipping in the cracks, and he was positioning himself to become maybe like a Harold Letterman, where he was an official scorecard, where he would give his card every round.
Right.
So that was kind of good for him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt listening to like some of his podcasts, and he's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't say. Yeah, Villegas is good. I'm not saying the other ones aren't good either, but I'm saying is what this whole thing started because I asked whether what they said, some of them, not all of them, but I think it was mostly Phelps and Radio Rahim, what they said and their complaining sort of turned people the wrong way, like D. Jefferson said. But listen, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. I wanted to bring something else too here. One last thing, because this really made me think, and I want to get your opinion on this. According to Boxing, Keith Thurman last week, he did an interview and he said the reason he lost to Pacquiao was a lack of discipline. He said he let his weight fluctuate too much up there, had to lose it in the build-up to a fight. He says it cost him during the fight energy-wise when he could have pushed more a little bit in the later rounds. And he says that he thought he was winning the fight, and that's why he sort of, took it easy a little bit. But he also took it easy against Sean Porter in the last round, and against Danny Garcia in the last round, and especially in the Sean Porter fight, that was a close fight, which he should not have done. So is this just another excuse from a fighter who lost for the first time, or do you guys think there might have been something to it?
I think it's an excuse, but at the same time, it's the truth, because that's what happens. I say it all the time, man. Your fucking camp is ruined. If you go to an 8-week camp and you spend 5 weeks of it as a fat camp, you know what I mean? And then you get 3 weeks of real training. But if you're focusing on your weight, that takes you should come into camp fucking, you know what I mean? Get it weight. You maybe have 15 pounds, so it comes off smooth. You hold. If you have to take that weight off with a sauna and sitting in a sauna, sweating your balls off, trying to take it off that way, that's just an ugly way, man. And it zaps your energy. And it's tricky too, because you might feel great going into the fight, and then all of a sudden, the fourth round, your legs just aren't there. And then you feel like you're trying to catch your second wind, and it sucks. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever worked out or been into an athletic situation where you're just not grabbing your second wind. It's terrible. And that's what he was probably experiencing. He was
ironically,
you know what? I said, come on.
He complained, Jimmy, but I thought he fought well. He picked himself off the canvas in the first round, and he survived that moment in the 10th round where he got hurt and was still able to come through that. And to me, it was at least like one of the top 5 fights of the year last year. I have it as like number 3. So even in losing, that was a great fight, and I thought he fought well.
Yeah, I think Keith Thurman, that's his responsibility. So it's not really. I don't really, buy that excuse. If you're as good as you say you are, then you get the job done. That's all that matters. He did made much of an effort, to try to come back in that fight. I thought, he won like 4 rounds, off of Pacquiao, but it's too little, too late. To me, his market value, is diminishing, before our very eyes. He got the hand injury, he lost the title, due to injury. He lost to Pacquiao. Now he's calling out, Terrence Crawford. Now he sees the value of beating him.
It's interesting because Masvidal lost, and he had all the excuses in the world, and he said, "Hey, look, listen, no excuses. I signed the dotted line, and this is what happens. I lost." Now you got all these guys making excuses. I mean, now obviously since time immemorial, people have been making excuses, but in a way, I feel like fighters have to make the most excuses because you can't. I mean, think about it. Let's say you guys lose a boxing fight, right? And what are you going to say? Are you going to tell yourselves, oh man, I did my best and I couldn't beat this guy? Or are you going to subconsciously find a way to say, you know what, something went wrong here, and if I fix this, then I can fight him to get a little hope. Yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy, you.
Well, I was going to say there's two things. You either have a reason you lost the fight, or you have an excuse. There's two big different things. There's a reason because if somebody asks you, what do you think happened? You should be able to give a reason why you think, but there is a big difference from a reason to an excuse.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the same. I think they're both. He just told you lost the gas tank. I mean, could be true. Could be the reason. Still a great fight. Like that was a legendary fight.
No, I agree. But I'm saying, like, I would say Wilder's fans are making a lot of excuses. None of those. There's no reason behind any of that shit.
But notice Wilder's not saying anything.
But of course he's not. He doesn't have to. He's got his little fucking. Although they're taking another hit this week. You see, another member of the LDBC just got outed as a fucking pedophile. That's wonderful, huh? Mark actually broke it. I saw that, but yeah. And then that other kid, Young Pharaoh, you see the video with him today?
I call that guy B. Epstein B. That's B. Epstein TV. Yeah, that's him. B. Epstein TV.
You see the that Young Pharaoh? Did you see the video? He well, it's not under his thing. Somebody just videotaped him outside of his house or somewhere. He was leaning on a fence, and they interviewed him. It was on some fucking political tweet. I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that fool. Yeah, it's Young Pharaoh giving a dissertation on how white people have soulless, violent animals.
So you're saying he told the truth then?
Yep, he went on for 2 minutes. It was unbelievable. Yeah, just soulless, violent animals is what he was saying. It was, yeah. So, anyways, it's pretty.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. So what was wrong with that?
Where's the incorrectness in that?
I'm kidding. All right, Jimmy, come on, man. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
What?
Listen.
No, I didn't say nothing.
No, I know,
I
but
was
the
laughing.
silence. The silence.
I had it on mute, but I was laughing with you. But I had
Right.
mute, so I didn't laugh in your ear.
Yeah, no, listen, that young Pharaoh, he's got crazy eyes, by the way. He's on something, I think. One of the many people out there on YouTube land he looks like he might be on something. I don't know. But listen,
Man, you know what, BDA, young Pharaoh. Hold on, let me clear my throat for this BDA. He gets a special you idiot. Okay, the hell with young Pharaoh. This guy is way off on a lot of topics. I tried to listen to some of his, other material. So not only did he invade boxing with the foolery of Glovegate, but this kid is a moron. Okay, absolute moron. So, like, the hell with young Pharaoh. You idiot.
He's the guy that started.
I agree, bro.
I don't know if he's the one. Is he the one that started Glovegate?
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
he
he's
was
the one who
who started the
popularized
video,
it. I'm not
yeah.
sure if he started it, but he damn sure popularized it.
There you go.
Man, I don't watch that trash. Like I know you guys talk about it a lot, but I mean, I have a hard time wasting.
Yeah, I don't
Pure
talk
trash.
about it. That's
By the way, BDA, thanks for the compilations of these fans, crying, complaining about
well,
Glovegate.
like I was saying,
That's how I know these guys. Yeah, that's how I learned them through your videos.
But like I was saying, that's Buccio.
BDA started Glovegate.
No, I did not. I think now you're.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Hold on.
I heard it from you.
Hold on. I gotta give all the credit. Does not go. It goes to Buccio. He's the one that's been doing all those videos, and he's the one. I didn't even know who young Pharaoh was until Buccio told me. So everything that's LDPC related, that's Buccio, man. I don't touch any of that. I'm not interested in that. So.
Well, it was on your channel, but credit to Buccio.
There you go. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, Buccio's 50% of the BDA enterprise. In fact, most people don't know, but Buccio's the one that came up with the idea of the boxing debate. The thing was that I was hosting and talking more than him, and people started calling me BDA. And then at some point, I told Buccio, listen, I want to have another name. I want my name to be Ken Fresno or Bobby Fresno. And he said, nah, that name sucks. So we never decided on a name. So now, long story short, I became Mr. BDA. So people think that I'm the guy that runs everything, but it's actually Buccio and myself who, work.
So you guys are both Canadians? You and
are we both Canucks? Is that what you're asking?
No, Canadians.
That's right.
No,
Canucks.
they're Mexican.
Mexican. Yeah. By the way, somebody in the chat from Walker Smith Jr. says BFTB is on the list though. Boxing Virus says BDA didn't give Buccio creative ownership. Okay, now we're getting technical over here. We're getting fucking corporate. But the point is, back to the fucking Keith Thurman. He wants Errol Spence and he wants Kell Brook. Are those some fights that are possible, or is Kell Brook or is Keith Thurman now too fat, traumatized from the Pacquiao fight, and too injured to come back?
I think he just wants to cash out. That's the way I look at it. I don't see him winning those two fights.
I think it's more of a cash out. I think it's more of a cash out because look, I think it really hurt his ego because with the Pacquiao fight, I think he's really hurt because it's a separation between two eras. He lost to a guy from the last era who's older, and that means that Keith Thurman will never be as good as the guy from the last era and this era. So it really hurt his ego as far as his legacy. So I think he's got to redeem himself a little bit. I know he's all about the money too, but he's just got to redeem himself for his career.
I think Keith, like he told you guys before, he's not afraid to lose his own. I think he might. I think he's gonna go after him, but it sounds like Danny and Spence is what's gonna happen. So, I mean, I don't know, but I don't think he's scared of them. I think he could beat them. He did a good performance.
You know what, man? I think Keith Thurman from 2015, 2016, and 2017 could have beaten Errol Spence. I'm not saying he could have schooled him or anything, but he could have edged him the way he did with Sean Porter. But now, though, unless Spence, maybe they're both at the same level now. That Spence, he got into that car accident, and Thurman's got all those injuries and he's traumatized. Maybe now it could still be a competitive fight. I would love to see Keith Thurman against Ugas. That would be a statement. Hey, I'm taking on the guy that most of these motherfuckers don't want to fight. Let me get a shot at him. Right. See what I can. You agree with that, Gonzalo?
Yes, definitely. Because the Ortiz is too much risk for a low reward. He would lose against. It'd be similar to Pacquiao, but this it would be like on the other side of the spectrum. He would lose to a prospect. Pacquiao, he lost to a
Yeah.
legend, but from the last era. And Ugas, he's like the boogeyman of this era, where he could redeem himself in some degree. I
For
agree with that.
Ugas,
Nah, like
for Ugas,
Ugas is even
hold
worse.
on
He's
right
less
quick.
known.
Hold on right quick. For Ugas, Keith Thurman is pointless right now. It's no point for him to even entertain Keith Thurman. See, Keith Thurman is destitute and fucking desperate. But in Ugas' situation, he's already lined up to fight for the regular title, Terrence Crawford as a two, and then that puts him in line for Terrence Crawford. Keith Thurman's like, get out of here. It's nothing in it for Ugas.
Yeah, it's all about chasing big names and big paydays.
But if they
Keith
pay him
Thurman.
though, but if they pay him, if they pay Ugas and Thurman good money, I mean, they would. But it seems maybe D. Jeffs is right. Maybe it sounds like Thurman
It would
wants.
derail. Yeah, it would derail what Ugas has going for him right now. Like he has a fight lined up for the title, the regular title, and then that puts him in line for Crawford. So like, what does Keith Thurman offer? You don't have a title. You're desperate. So like, it's a waste of time for Ugas. Is my thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it would be a waste of time. I think if he gets Keith Thurman on his record, it would be the biggest win he would have. So
That's true. That's true, Bucho. But I mean, I'm sorry, Bucho. BDA. That's true. But then he's derailing his title shot. Like, why fuck with him? And then think about it. After he wins this title, that puts him in line next fight for Crawford.
Well, but that's the thing. That's the thing, D. I don't think he looks at it as like gonna get his title shot derailed because I'm thinking that he genuinely thinks that he could beat him, Ugas. And I'm sure Thurman thinks that's what makes it so compelling.
Well, no, I get you, Gonzalo. You missing the point. I'm saying, okay, that's all fine and dandy for Thurman. What I'm saying is, it makes no sense for Ugas, is what I'm trying to tell you, Gonzalo.
Well, if you beat him, like BDA said, you get your name on your resume, and that's
okay,
something, right?
Gonzalo. So derail a title shot for that? So you're saying derail a title shot for possibility to beat Thurman?
Why derail if you think you can win?
Why even entertain it? Why go for Thurman? Why go for Thurman and just having Thurman's name? Then to go for a title shot. Like, why would you do that?
Well,
like,
because it's a good fight.
I think that
because it's a good fight.
Yeah, but I think that
Gonzalo, it's a good fight versus a fucking title, fam. You talking about a good fight versus winning a championship?
Yeah, but D, this is the point of view. This is the point of view that I and Gonzalo have. And I get your point. I agree. If he wants that, there's two choices here. If he wants an official title, and you said if he's in line for the Crawford fight, is that what you said?
He did okay. So he gets the he's going to fight for the vacant title, which is the belt up underneath the belt that Crawford has. Mm-hmm. Getting that belt puts him in line. He'll get the next match. He gets the match for Crawford. But let me put some perspective to this too, because I read an article from Ugas himself. So we can speculate. Oh well, it'll be a big fight, and it'll be. But Ugas said he is so happy finally for this opportunity. He's not like a lot of these other guys. You can read the article. Where they wasted his money, he wants the title. So from himself,
that route is also great. If it happens like that,
Gonzalo, let me finish though, fam. Let me finish. I'm just saying, from Ugas himself, he's not thinking about a Thurman type fight. He's thinking about getting his title and going to challenge Terrence Crawford. He wants to be great. This is something that he said. He's been waiting 10 years for this opportunity. So from Ugas himself, why the fuck would he entertain Thurman? It makes no sense, bro.
Well, the other fight's a good fight too. They're both good fights.
Plus the 20th caller tonight in WBC gets a belt.
You guys don't see it that way, fam. And I'll get the link to the article if you don't believe me. Like, this is something that he put out.
No, I understand. That's great. That's great that's happening. But I'm saying, like, as a boxing fan, that would be a good fight. Whether it makes sense or not, maybe you're right. I believe you. I'm just saying, I didn't think about it like that. I just thought about it as like a stylistic matchup.
By the way, Jimmy said the 20th caller here to get up WBC belt. So he's saying that essentially was my point. That I get your point, D. Jefferson, but maybe Ugas, he thinks, you know what, I can get a solid payday now for sure if I fight Thurman, and screw the title, because there's fighters out there that might say, hey, I don't need a title. It's like there's 5-6 titles out there now with the franchise belt, the janitor belt, the interim belt. I mean, maybe he's looking at it that way, but I suspect. Oh, and plus Thurman is with the PBC, so it's an easier fight to make. Whereas a Thurman fight, Crawford fight, it might never happen. But I get your point. Maybe that's the other route he's looking for. Maybe saying, let me get the title, that way I got more leverage. Because despite what I have to say about world titles, they do statistically earn more fighters more money. That's been proven, because you can put that on the marquee. You can put world championship fight, and most people that don't know, they'll say, hey, it's a championship fight. But
well, they even. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just to be clear, that wasn't my perspective. I was just trying to let y'all know I read an article, and that's pretty much you guys' perspective. So.
Right. Well, yeah, but I can see both sides. Go ahead, Virtuoso. You're gonna say something?
It's like we telling you guys, hey, you guys, how about you fight Thurman? And basically, you guys are telling you guys, no, I want to get a belt, a title. I want to go fight Crawford. I want to be great. So it's not really. It's something that I read that says this is where you guys' head at. It's not my idea. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a good fight too, Crawford Ugas. That's a good fight. Go ahead, Richard. Sorry.
Yeah, as much as I like that fight, I love that matchup. Ugas versus Crawford. Is PBC is out here even going to allow Ugas to quote unquote cross the street? To
yes,
fight.
Because he's expendable. He's not the guy that they want to save and protect. That's a spin that they can make money off. Ugas is not the big marketable guy, so he's expendable. Yeah, they'll risk it. Guess what else he doesn't hold? He doesn't hold PBC hardware. He will be winning the regular WBO belt, which is the belt that Crawford has. So he's expendable. They can send him over there. They don't lose much if you guys lose it. So yeah, they'll cross the street with that. Remember, they've crossed the street before, but it was with fighters that they didn't have any marquee value in. That's why they were so easy to send Andy Ruiz over there, because at the time they had no marquee value. Okay, yeah. Send them over there. Let them fight. We don't care.
Oh man, that to me is like that's really that really warms my heart to see that. It's like they would actually let their fighters that they don't promote cross the street, but not their marquee names, man. That's just such fucking bullcrap with PBC, man.
Yeah, that fight's not gonna happen. Thurman's not gonna fight Ugas. Like, he's a no name. I mean, people don't really know who that is. It's not.
Yeah.
Money.
Well,
pass that Dutch, man. Pass that weed, man.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say some people take puffs and other people like D take blasts, because I mean these motherfuckers going to the moon now with that one he took. We heard it, man. Everybody heard it, right? Everybody heard it. Jimmy, I wanted to ask you something. Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
You probably know better than me about this. I mean, about this type of products. CBD oil, which is legal in Canada since 2018, by the way. I'm just curious about CBD oil. Have you ever tried it?
What is it, like the imitation, like the legal version of EPO?
No.
It's not. I use it before, guys. Look, I got some experience with it. So
go ahead, D.
Yes. Okay, yeah, break it down. Let me hear about it first. Let me see what you know. Yeah, break it down, bro.
Well, first, to make everything clear, from real experience, I almost died a little over a year ago. I had this real bad sepsis attack, and it nearly killed me. And I'm not one that like to take a lot of prescription medicines because I don't trust these pharmaceutical companies. So for pain and other issues, I actually utilize CBD oil. No, it's not imitation anything. It's a cannabinoid, so it's a cannabis extract, and you use it for different uses. There's different uses for it. I was mainly using it for pain, and I'll tell you guys right now, it's not a hoax. It's not bullshit. It works. It works because I wasn't using any of their Vicodin or Oxycontin or none of that bullshit. I just pretty much stuck with the CBD oil and other holistic healing methods. So, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's pretty legit, man. It's good for pain relief.
Most people do oxys because they're trying to get high anyway. You know what I mean? For the most part.
Yeah, but CBD isn't psychoactive. It's the THC. No,
I know. I smoke fucking weed for pain. I believe in its and so you know what I mean. Its properties for healing, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's because it's a plant, right? And most plants have medicinal properties. Like over here in the Philippines, they got this plant called malunggay. Every time I get cut or hurt, my wife's, oh, let me get some malunggay so I can put it on your injury. It's like really popular here.
Well, it's like probably like what they use cactus, not cactus, but the long
Aloe vera.
Aloe vera, yeah, they break it in half like down in Mexico, and they'll just put it right on their skin for a burn.
Yeah, for a burn, Jimmy. Yeah.
Seamus Carey in the chat room says, "I take PCP over CBD any day of the week. Let's go." All right, well he's going hardcore. He's going hardcore with that. But yeah, the reason why I asked with the CBD is because I was curious what type of effects. Now, from what I understand, CBD it all has all the versions that there are. They all have a certain amount of THC, right? Or is there such a thing as pure CBD? Anybody aware of that? I wanted to get D's take on that, but I guess he's taking another blast. All right, listen. Maybe you know what? We'll do a second renaissance just on that because I'm interested in CBD oil now because everything I've heard about it. Then again, there's some videos. There are some people that say, "Nah, I took it several times a day and I didn't see an effect." Blah blah blah. Rob Plant says you can get 100 pure CBD. All right, well there you go. Well, all you potheads and experts on
BDA.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta take off, guys.
All right. Well, he just took off. All right. Take it easy, D. Thank you for dropping in. Yeah, we were just about to end it, by the way. I think it's about as good a time as any. We covered a lot of good topics, though. That's good. That's good. Got a lot of opposing opinions here, which is always good. Got some things done. I got a couple of unsuspecting people dropping by. Surprise guests. And I think everything worked out for the best tonight.
Guys, 10,000?
Hey,
go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was asking BDA, you had 10,000 subs yet? You were close last I checked.
Yep, pretty close. Pretty close.
Damn,
nice, we got to get that, man. Come on, motherfuckers. Subscribe,
yeah, you gotta,
somebody. We got to get you 10 grand, dude.
We got
milestone. Good for you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We
BDA.
You said earlier, you said about the coronavirus, you're flattening the curve. Is that in Canada? Cause it's not in America.
In America, listen, I don't want to turn this into a second Renaissance episode, Aku, but check out the Fox. Just write on Google Fox 35 coronavirus Florida, and you'll get a news article about how a Florida hospital were saying that they tested I don't know how many hundreds of people and that they had 100% positive rate. Then they changed it to, it's actually more like 80%. Then Fox News did their own investigation. It was 9%. So
9%, exactly.
Yeah.
And they when they saw a 21-year-old kid was pronounced dead from COVID, they were like, what the hell, 21 years old? That's crazy. Yeah, he was tested positive for COVID, but then was killed in a motorcycle accident. And they didn't get around to changing it. But my girlfriend lost her grandmother 2 weeks ago, right? To pulmonary edema. Pulmonary aneurysm, right? She was fucking nothing else wrong with her, right? The funeral home director the other day when they were at the funeral home told us that she said, well, we had to handle the body in a certain way because of the COVID. And she was like, wait, no, she died of a pulmonary edema. And the fucking funeral director came right over and showed the fucking paper. They had it marked down as COVID-19. They were like, what? The family was freaked out. Like, why would they? And like, what do you mean, why? It's a liberal fucking city. It's Boston. They're trying to keep the numbers up. They don't want in-house person voting. They want everybody to mail it in. This is all a big scam, dude. The fucking you have older people and people with diabetes and there's other things that you're elderly and overweight, and if you have a vitamin D deficiency, you have a better chance of dying. But it's almost next to impossible. Look at this schools in Sweden and all those other fucking first world countries that never even closed down their schools and there was no outbreak. So they've politicized it, which is just disgusting. But that's God's honest truth. And my thing is, if there's smoke at one place, now that's just my personal experience. The one person I know who's died recently, they try to put it on that and it wasn't. And then, like BDA just said, they just found out thousands of deaths in Florida. They try to blame on COVID and they weren't. So to me, everything's now questionable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And what most of the states are Republican states are having these record positives. So why would they want higher numbers?
But positives, but that's not record deaths. Positives, one thing, that's fine, because there's also a bunch more. Like, you got to understand, 3 months ago, there was 20% testing. Right now, they're up in certain states up to 70% testing. So obviously, the more tests, the more positives you're going to have. But again, that doesn't matter. Who cares about positive? It's the deaths. That's what you want to keep your eye on. You want to make sure young people aren't dying or people without other underlying diseases. And that curve has actually flattened.
40 million tested in the United States. In the second place is India with 12 million tested.
The point is...
BD, I'm gonna jump off, but before I go, I'm gonna say this: wear your fucking mask.
All right, there you go. That's Virtuoso's point of view. Listen, and by the way, G Boogie just donated. G Boogie just donated for the super chat. Shout out to G Boogie for his contributions as KO. Yeah, listen, you look into the numbers for the whole COVID thing. The numbers are made up. They're inflated. First of all, the tests are not accurate. The tests are very flawed. And even when they are flawed now, there's rumors that even when people test negative, they just mark it down as positive. Or like Jimmy said, oh, this guy died of pulmonary disease. Whoops, COVID.
My girlfriend's my girlfriend's grandmother.
Yeah, see that they're chalking it up to COVID, and that's why now Trump said, you know what, the results are going to come straight to us and not to the CDC, I believe, and it's going straight to the Department of Health. And people are saying that the liberals are freaking out, saying, oh, it's because he wants to play with the numbers. He wants to hide the numbers. No, it's because the numbers are being inflated in the first place. Listen, this thing has become politicized to no end. I mean, and what a coincidence that it happens on a election year. I mean, I wonder if this thing would have happened, what would have happened in 2017, 2018? How would they have tried to spun it? I mean, they would have still tried to blamed it on Trump in some way, but
exactly. It's because, listen, the thing is, and they know it. Even Joe Biden, his last appearance, that kid can't leave his basement without putting his fucking foot in his mouth. It's embarrassing. It's almost elderly abuse to have this fucking senile dude up there talking, and they know he will get his lunch handed to him. He'll get fucking destroyed by Trump. They get him on a stage. So they are doing everything they can, including the fucking toilet paper Times saying, oh, you shouldn't do a fucking debate unless Trump gives out his tax reform. Like, what are you talking about? They're right. I mean, they literally want to keep Joe Biden in that fucking basement until November 4th. I mean, they do not want him in an interview. They don't want him to have to answer questions, because it's just he's slipping. Because they don't give a fuck about his brain, because they're going to have a bunch of other freaks running the show.
Like Jolene said, I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden. It's like, what? He actually said that in a video. And I mean, they're going to try to say he was kidding. He's being Uncle Biden. Nah, he's actually more like Uncle Senile Biden. Because, I mean, poor guy. Poor guy. He seems like a pretty sick person. So when I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally. So, but hey, listen, like Jimmy said, this could constitute some form of elder abuse, putting this guy up there.
42 years, dude, in politics. Think about it. He's been in politics longer than most of you dudes have been in live. And what has he done? Other than in the 1990s, he wrote that fucking bill that incarcerated fucking boatloads of black kids and inner city kids, poor black kids, poor white kids. It was basically just went after them with reckless abandon. That's the age of the fucking minimum mandatory sentences. When kids, that's when the police murder started going up, because kids were like, wait a minute, this will be my third strike. So I'm going to get a life in prison if I get caught with this handgun. Fuck it. I'm going to try to shoot my way out. No matter what, I'm going away. That my sentence is going to say from here on. That's regardless. Right. So that was a terrible fucking thing to do, that minimum mandatory.
By the way,
it took the judge out of the judge. But
by the way, just one last thing, because I know that people like to debate about the numbers, the COVID, blah blah. The smoking gun, the final proof here for anybody that still has doubts about whether this is as serious as this or not. Sweden, like Jimmy said, they didn't shut down. South Korea, Japan. Very small measures, nothing like what people here in the West were talking about. They didn't close down. Belarus now has come out and said that I think it was the International Monetary Fund, along with the WHO, I think, or something like that. They said, hey, listen, we'll send you tests and we'll pay you to send you the tests. Why do they? Because they want to inflate the numbers. They want the people. Listen, there is a virus, but it's not as bad as people are making that to be. But they want to keep pumping up the numbers because, like I said, they want to politicize this stuff. And you know, Sweden is doing. People are saying, well, Sweden, the test, keep testing people. And then they say, well, how many people are dying? And how many of those deaths are people who are over 70. And how many of those that are under 70 had any other underlying conditions? Like, I don't know, obesity, which is a problem. How about suicide around the world? Isn't that a bigger problem than COVID? According to the statistics that I saw, it is. Diabetes too, heart disease.
Job loss. You know how many kids were stuck in... Imagine how many kids... Listen, schools, as far as bad as a lot of schools are, there's still an escape for a lot of kids who have alcoholic parents who get abused. And a lot of these teachers will catch that abuse, see the bruise on a baby's face or in a child's face and report it. Now, picture you're an abusive father. Now you're home all day getting drunk, just beating on your kids. I mean, imagine how many fucking... out of hundreds of millions of people locked down... Yeah, there's all kinds of negative side effects with being locked in and shit. But yeah, the bottom line is this. What the fuck is the Democrats running on? They know what are they going to do? They're trying to actually do the populist thing. Well, we're going to bring jobs back. Dude, under the 8 years of Obama, China's GDP grew $9 trillion. Ours grew $4 trillion. The largest growth, they surpassed Germany and Japan under Obama. No fucking country ever grew $9 trillion in 8 years. In history of mankind, except for China, they shipped all the fucking jobs over there. And that was under Obama and fucking Biden. So Biden knows, what can he do? He can't run on his platform. What have you done, dude? You've been other than you came into the fucking Senate with $800 in your checking account. Now you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You make you make what, 125 grand a year? How did you do that? Kickbacks, man. That motherfucker, he was a talking head because he's out of Baltimore. And Baltimore has the huge financial district. That's where all the major credit card companies set up headquarters. So he's the fucking senator out of that. So he was the lobbyist for the credit card company. And credit card debt has done more to harm this fucking country in this generation than anything. And he's been right there. Any law to help fucking students or anybody else with credit card debt, Joe Biden was the first one there to veto it because he was the talking head for the fuck. So he's a shitbag. On top of it, he's a senile shitbag. Trump was a fucking narcissistic whack job who tweets too much. Don't get me wrong. But at least he's not going to have a fucking 28-year-old bartender running the country.
That's right.
We're seeing a bunch of other freaks.
Now, you know what, man? You know, people can talk about how, the numbers. Look at Sweden. They're open. There's no bodies stacking up or piling up on the streets. You gotta look into the numbers, man. I don't know why. I don't know why some people actually. What's that?
They're open because they locked down.
They're open. Sweden never locked down.
No, Sweden never locked down. They never even shut the schools down. They never even canceled schools, dude. No, they just realized because they had good scientists and they said no, this won't affect. Plus, there's herd immunity. When there's herd immunity, you start weakening the disease.
Hey, Jimmy, Joe Biden said during the H1N1 virus, I don't know if it was a pandemic or not, he told them to stop testing during that time.
Oh, there you go. Listen, this whole thing is
supposed to be some fucking
It seems what scares me is the people. What scares me are the people that want this to be real. I mean, I understand some people get manipulated with fear, but there's other people that are like, no, you're an idiot if you think the numbers aren't real. Blah blah blah. It's like, all right, listen, you keep doing what you're doing. It's like everybody knows somebody. My grandmother died of COVID. All right, your grandmother. Tell me somebody young. I mean, that's the other thing. When people say the pandemic, a pandemic is if we were talking right now and we would say, shit, my brothers died, my cousin who's 22 years old died, my teacher who's 44 died. No, we're talking about old people here. Most people are walking around.
Old people lives still matter though. Like they're still.
I didn't say they don't. But how many old people died?
Atlas.
That's right. But
talking about Bob Arum.
That's right. Yeah, we gotta protect Bob Arum and the Atlas. That's true.
Against who?
He would have been the original coronavirus guy, Bob Arum, if he would have had that fight in China with Jose Carlos Ramirez.
Yeah,
Arum would pay the virus to go away.
He would have brought the virus to the United States, but everybody would have died except him.
That's true, man.
He would have buried us all.
All right, listen, fellas, we got
part of the tribe.
Legends still alive. We gotta keep it. Look at Duran. He fought back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we gotta protect these legends.
That's right. Anyway, speaking of legends,
he only got one lung too.
That's right. Speaking of legends, guys, we gotta go, man. We gotta go. We've been on for 3 hours. Really appreciate you guys being on. It was a fantastic show. We got a couple of thrills and chills, so it was all good. I want to thank Jimmy, who dropped by, Gonzalo, who was here from the beginning, all 3 hours, despite the fact that he's got work. So shout out to Gonzalo for that. What else? Also, that some of the people that drop by on StreamYard, like Aku, thank you for dropping by. Is it Aku or AKU? I don't know how to say it.
Both. Aku, AKU.
AKU.
Aku. United. Part of the gym I have.
All right, fantastic. All right, so we'll call you Aku. I want to give a shout out to GT Jefferson was here as well from Real Sports Talk. Real Sports. You know D Jefferson. I'll put the link in the description. Real Live Sports Talk. Anyway.
Speak Your Mind.
Speak Your Mind. Yes, Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. Jesus, Luis, thank you for saving me, man. Speak Your Mind Sports Talk.
Hey, salute to the LDBC too. Shout out to the LDBC.
That's right. Shout out to the LDBC. Also shout out to D Jefferson. Virtuoso was here. Who was the other guy? Gerald was here. He says Gerald, but I'm gonna keep calling him Gerald. Mark from Unrivaled Boxing Talk. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for being on. Really appreciate it. Jackson dropped by also as well. So thank you for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one.
Always pleasurable. H Money BDA.
He was as coherent and as erudite as always, man. I mean, this guy is just so well spoken, man. He definitely wants to have a conversation. Well, I tried to, but he wouldn't talk. I mean, he was just ramble. The guy has to be on something. It was just a shame because I would like to have a conversation with him.
That's the DAZN guy, right? This is H Money, Mr. DAZN.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I would love to have a conversation.
Woman in the arms of a 12-year-old boy.
It's a fuck. Come on, listen.
How that rap went?
I
heard a rap one. What a.
Yeah. Oh well, it wasn't. It mustn't have been very good, man. Listen, shout out to everybody who joined us then. Everybody who called.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for dropping by. Shout out to Jimmy too, like I said, and Gonzalo. Let me just say real quick, big thanks to everybody that contributed via the super chat. I'm talking about. Who am I talking about? Talking about Chad Collins, Unrivaled, aka Mark, Father Ted Crilly, who's probably gonna win if he keeps this up. Donor of the month, Father Jack Hackett. Oh wait a minute, it's two different fathers. Who the fuck is this with these accounts? Father G Boogie as well, Father Finton Stack, Father Dougal Maguire, Father Jack Hackett. I tell you, we got the Catholics coming out here. Catholics, hey, yeah, I'm not getting into that. Second Renaissance show. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody out there. We're gonna give a shout out to Jonathan Morrison, Smiley Fart, Uncle Burnt Apostrophe, Walker Smith Jr., Grievous, Vince Vegas, Boxing Virus, Cena Macia, High Roller, Kunta Kumite, T-Tone Toledo, Walker Smith Jr. Again, I already said Norman Lewis, Uncle Burnt Apostrophe, Dodge 172, Carlos Mendoza, and the rest of the Mendozas. Thank you guys for dropping by. 8 Moody. Brian Harkin was here as well. If I missed anybody, guys, sorry, but the list will not allow me to go up. Actually, Grievous, Rob Plant, Darkside, Seamus Carey. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody be safe, man. Peace.
Take it easy, fellas.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry. One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.